3 days from the National Football League draft. Here we are, baby. How you doing? And, of course, Big Sills. Oh, by the way, right out of the gate, we are doing a special 10 a.m. show on Friday. My daughter's graduating on Friday. So we'll be live 10 a.m. this coming Friday, the day after the draft. Just so you know, okay? We won't be in our normal spot. 10 a.m. on Friday. My kid's graduating. Big Sills ain't missing that for the world. So, I mean, in the next couple of weeks here, my daughter's going to graduate, Dean's List, straight A student, and she's going to play for the national title. So we got a lot of good things working here. So 10 a.m. on Friday, we will do that live, and we look forward to seeing what Howie does. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Twiz. Thank you, Junior. Thank you guys so much. How about this? Seriously, man. Hey, Kyle. I mean, hey, Brian, thank you, man. My daughter and, you know, her accomplishments, my wife walks down and goes, Dean's List? Captain of a team that's playing for the national title 3 years in a row? Graduating Friday, straight A student. What is that? I have no idea, man. I have no idea. Congratulations to her, man. So very proud week coming up here, and especially a big week here coming for the NFL, and obviously the NFL draft on Thursday. What will Howie do? Okay, and we look forward to having her home soon, and we look forward to that draft. So enough of that there. Can you believe it? By the way, congratulations, Isaiah Rodgers, on getting reinstated. Now, I'm sure Philly fans will turn this guy into the next Brian Dawkins. This guy will be the best thing you've ever seen in your life. Brian Dawkins, this guy is going to be a game changer. Trey James Bradbury. I had to pump the brakes, and let's see how this guy is going to fit into a Vic Fangio system here. You know, Frank liked him a lot. They really did. They liked him a lot in Indianapolis, and they think he has a lot of talent. He looks like a player. Yet to see him in a starting situation, though, you don't know. We have no idea what kind of impact he's going to make on that secondary. You know, it's cool to be optimistic. It's cool to be. By the way, the Colts didn't get rid of him because he sucked. The Colts got rid of him because of the gambling issues. I think that's pretty rich coming from a guy who won't be at the draft this week because he's in drug rehab, and Jim Irsay. Pretty rich, huh? Coming from a guy like that, whatever. Can't throw morals around with an owner who doesn't have morals himself. Don't practice what I'm preaching. I mean, right? That organization is a shit show just like the one in Carolina. So, hey, no question about it. So, we'll see what he does and what he brings to the table. Somebody sent this to me. I gotta read you this. This is pretty cool, this little list. And this was sent to me prior to going on the air. I think you guys are going to be really intrigued with this. This is pretty cool here. So somebody, where is it? Here it is. Look at this list here. This is from the 33rd team. Here are the last 30 plus touchdown passers by each club. Man, I love this list. Carson Palmer, Cardinals. Matt Ryan, Falcons. Sixth best cornerback in coverage in 22. Pro Football Focus. Like I said, he's got talent. He's the next Deion Sanders. Yeah, okay. Lamar Jackson, 2019. Josh Allen, 22. Cam, 2015. Bears, none. The Bears have never had a 30 plus touchdown passing quarterback? Wow. Joe Burrow, Bengals. Brian Sipe, Browns, 1980. Dak Prescott, 2023. Peyton Manning, Broncos, 14. Jared Goff, Lions, 23. Jordan Love, 23, Packers. Deshaun Watson, 2020. Andrew Luck, Colts. Blake Bortles, 2015. Let's go here, Trevor Lawrence. Patrick Mahomes, 22. Derek Carr, 15. Justin Herbert, Chargers, 21. Matthew Stafford, 21. Rams. Marino, 1994. Dolphins. Wow. Kirk Cousins, Minnesota Vikings. Tom Brady, Patriots. Saints. Drew Brees, Eli, Giants. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Jets. Carson Wentz, Eagles, 2017. Wow. Ben Roethlisberger, 2020. Brock Purdy, Niners, 2023. Geno Smith, Seattle, 2022. Tom Brady, Bucks, 2 teams, 2021. Ryan Tannehill, 2021. How about this one? The Washington Commanders have not had a 30-touchdown passing quarterback since Sonny Jurgensen in 1971. Look at old Carson Wentz's face right there, man. Congratulations to you, Carson. Still having some Eagle history. Man, that's good stuff there. Way to go. I like when people send me lists like that. Kind of validates some of the things that we say here on the program. It kind of validates it. I mean, right? When will Hurts make that list, Sills? Niner all day. He'll never be on that list. He'll never be on that list. He'll never throw for 30 touchdowns. That guy may never throw for 25 touchdowns. Okay? He may never do that. Carson Wentz, unbelievable, is your last 30-plus touchdown guy and your only 4,000-yard passing quarterback. Dual threat. Dual threat. Even Brock Purdy threw. Didn't Purdy throw for how many touchdowns did he throw for? Crazy. Yes, sir. Do a list of 40 total TDs. Nobody gives a shit about rushing touchdowns. Nobody. Nobody gives a shit about it. As a matter of fact, let's do something right here. And let's start this out because we kind of 31 touchdowns for Brock last year. 31 touchdowns. How you doing? Okay, here. We're going to get into the draft here in a minute. But let's do something that we kind of expanded on yesterday, and we kind of broached it a little bit. Is this a fair comment that during the Jeffrey Lurie era, that ownership in the front office have done more for the success of Jalen Hurts than any quarterback in the last 31 years? Is that correct? Do you think they've done more for him? And here's my rub. So he complains about consistency and quarterbacking. Hey, kid, they've given you more trinkets and more toys and more players to win with than any player since Jeffrey Lurie has owned the frickin' team. You're crying about coaching? How about crying about your play? I started thinking about this because someone sent it to me. Nobody has had more help in their success than Jalen Hurts. No one. Get this. Why is that such a hard thing to take when we say it? I'm going to continue to hammer this, and I don't give a shit. You are blind and deaf when I say it. You're deaf. You can't hear. Nobody in Philadelphia Eagle history during the Jeffrey Lurie era has received more help at quarterback than Jalen Hurts. And if you can't hire decent coaches around them, that's on you. And a player. Jalen Hurts has had more help than Wentz ever did. Let's do this. Who has had more help at success as a quarterback in their career? Carson Wentz or Jalen Hurts? As we head into the draft on Thursday, they're talking about trading up for an offensive tackle that they really want and addressing the offense of all the Eagle quarterbacks. Even McNabb. Even Donovan McNabb has never had this. McNabb never had this help. Vic never had this help. Shit, at the end of the day, Nick Foles won the Super Bowl with backups all over the offensive line. Did he not? Right? The year Wentz threw for $4,000. Not one wide receiver had over 500 yards receiving. Not one. Don't ever tell me Jalen Hurts is a better passer than Carson Wentz. He may be a stronger-minded player, but he's not a better player. Wentz did more with less. It's a fact. I proved my point. Just look. Nobody in the Jeffrey Lurie era at quarterback has been given more high-powered talent. 2 1,000-yard How does a quarterback with 2 years in a row of 2 1,000-yard receivers regress when everyone in the huddle had career years but him? How many points did the Eagles score last year? 26? Steve, how many points did the Eagles score last year compared to 2022? Again, I'm just talking about this high-powered offense. I mean, how many? How in the world do you take a step back? How many points did they score last year? 26, 27, 25, almost 26 points a game. What's that down? 3 points? And the quarterback stunk last year. 433 points they scored in 23. Thank you, Anthony. And the quarterback had to step backwards with all that talent. Hell, I'll even take McNabb over that guy. But guys, what I'm trying to do is give you some clarity. Jalen Hurts ain't better than McNabb. And I hate McNabb. I can't stand McNabb. I can't. And not that Wentz is anything. But don't start talking to me about that guy. Carson Wentz finished second in the MVP. So he had he had a better start to his career. But yet the Eagles have done everything in their power to put as many offensive stars around him, more so than any other quarterback in Eagle history, or at least during the owner's time owning the team. 28-1. Less than 3 points more you had with last year's team. So Brian Johnson gives every wide receiver a career year, and all of them get extensions pretty much. AJ's is coming. You signed a $10 million running back. The left tackle got an extension. The left guard got a new deal. But everybody sucked but him. Really. Steve goes, I think our OC cannot maximize Hurts' strength as a passer. It's because they're doing the wrong thing with him, like they did with Carson. Isn't that crazy? Everybody had a career year. The organization has bent over backwards putting talent on the football team. Bent over backwards. And you guys don't want to hear it. Why? Because you're excuse makers. You're excuse makers. Angelo Cataldi, 2:30 Eastern time, will join us. I mean, how much more can this kid get? Think about this here. Niner all day. Can you think about this here, man? This guy has had more talent around him, and yet he's complaining about consistency and coaching. And you've had two 1,000-yard receivers. How about this, guys? Would you say this, that it's the best duo of wide receivers in Eagle history? Is that fair? Kyle, am I right to say these are the two best duo receivers in Eagle history? Corey, right? How's your quarterback take a step backwards? What's he, Geno Smith? So you got the best duos, and he's complaining about coaching. Well, the coaching got all those guys those numbers last year, except him. When are you going to take accountability for player accountability? That guy's not that good. I think Jalen Hurts, my opinion, he's a good ball player. He's not what you think he is. He's just not. I mean, don't worry, it's going to play out this year. I'm so convinced that this is going to play out. By the way, Angelo loves Jalen. I disagree with it. Okay? The coaching last year, look at how you go to the coaching. You go to the coaching, and everyone in the offensive huddle had a career year. You still scored 26 points a game, and everyone had a career year except the quarterback. Maybe it's the quarterback and what you're asking him to do. Did you ever think that? Mulata, career year. Landon Dickerson, career year. Kelsey goes out an all-pro. Lane, all-pro. Pro Bowl, DeAndre Swift. Wide receivers, 2,000 yards apiece. And your quarterback is the guy in the huddle who has the worst year. How did that work out like that? Have you ever seen anything like that where everyone in the huddle has a great year but the QB? Can you name me one? How about this here? Niner all day. Can you imagine if Christian McCaffrey had a sensational year? Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, all those guys had great years. And Brock Purdy threw and was second in the NFL in turnovers and had 22 touchdowns, the 49ers would win 10 games. And they'd have been blown out. And the Lions would have went to the Super Bowl. I mean, every single thing I just said is not an opinion. It's exactly how it. Get this. Am I right when I say this? 2 wide receivers, career years. Running back, career year. Mulata, career year. Landon, career year. Kelsey, career year. Landon, Pro Bowl, All Pro. Quarterback. Third in blitz. And how many times he was blitzed and couldn't handle it. And second in turnovers. Coaching. So why and how did the coaching help all those other guys except him? Maybe it was because the quarterback is not good enough as a passer. You guys think Kellen Moore is going to roll in there and change the fortunes of that kid? And if they draft an offensive tackle, it'll just show you they got to do as much as they possibly can to help that kid, because they didn't do anything like that with Wentz. They left Wentz on an island. They left McNabb in many ways on an island. I'll tell you what Wentz and McNabb had. They had really great tight ends. Outside of that, Deshaun Jackson was good. But would I call him Tyreek Hill? Not really, but he was good. The rest of those guys were bums. Bums. And this guy's got these all-pro wideouts. I mean, you got to be kidding me. You know, when I threw those numbers out yesterday, it really dawned on me, man, they're doing why are they doing all of this? You know what they're doing this for? They want to prove that they're right. Vic had Shady, Djax, Macklin, and Kalick, but at the end of the career, nowhere near the $1.5 billion salary. So no one close to Jalen, says James. No, not even James. It's not even remotely close on the amount of money they're spending and the amount of talent they have and the amount of equity. They traded a first-round draft choice for A.J. Brown and paid him $25 million. They used a first-rounder on Devontae. They used a second-rounder on Goddard. The entire offensive line is probably close to $75 million in salaries. And you just signed a $10 million running back. This isn't any kind of, that's not an opinion. Those guys all had great years last year. Can you explain it? And if you guys say coaching, you and Jalen, I think Jalen Hurts is an excuse maker. I don't think he makes excuses. By the way, Angelo's going to join us in a couple minutes. I'm going to make a point to you here. Let me get the Bible here for a second before I bring Angelo on. You're spending all this money on this offense. And I'll tell you something about Hurts. There's no excuses. And before I bring Angelo up, Angelo loves Jalen. But here's my problem with Jalen. He complains about consistency in coaching. Here's my issue. In the 32 years that Jeffrey Lurie has owned that team, did he put players like you see right now around Wentz or McNabb like they have spent now? And one last thing here before I bring Angelo on. So in the last 2 years, the best duo of wide receivers in Eagle history had career years this last season. DeAndre Swift just signed a $10 million contract in Chicago, career year. Left tackle had a career year, brand new contract. Left guard, brand new contract, $20 million. So Brian Johnson sucked, but the only guy that had a setback was the QB. What a year for him. This is what we do. And to me, the man, the myth, the legend, he joins us right now, Angelo Cataldi. Here you go, my friend.
Dan, you're my best salesman, man. You're number one. Thank you.
Absolutely. How's it going?
Cataldi.com, new and improved website with lots of insights. Not as good as yours, but pretty good.
Do you agree, Angelo? This is a pretty big year for Jalen.
I got to say, that's an argument I hadn't heard before that's very good. Jalen's got more weapons than the guys that preceded him. You're right. Jalen's got more weapons. And he is doing his share of whining about the lack of consistency in play calling. I'll give you that. But the play calling last year, I guess you get to a point in the NFL where you have to command your own destiny. So if the plays are that bad, and they were bad, you got to call your own. It's your fate in your hands. Check off at the line and come up with a play a hell of a lot better than what Brian Johnson was giving him. You're right about that. You're right. To me, I want to see him with a really good play caller the way he was 2 years ago when he was at the Super Bowl. So that tells me that with a good play caller, he can maximize his ability. But he's going to need to take that next step. I agree with you on that and control his destiny more than he has so far.
What you're saying right now, to me, is a young player who is a follower, not a leader, because I'm following the direction of Shane, and I followed the demise of Brian, which led me down that rabbit hole. And like you said, the one thing that Andy Reid will say, and Mahomes says it, if he doesn't like the play, Mahomes is checking out of that. And one of the reasons they won that Super Bowl in the second half wasn't because of his throwing ability. He took off running. He had that 64 yards, and that was the difference in that game, especially in the overtime. So, like you said, there's surely a lot of excuse making here. I mean, tell me this too, Angelo. How can wide receivers have career years? Mulata have a career year. Laney gets a new contract. The right tackle's an all-pro. Everyone has a career year but Jalen. I mean, something's got to be said to that. And then he turns around the other day and goes, I want more consistency in Philly. I think Philly wants more consistency out of 21, 22, and 23. They want to see more of it. That's my complaint a little bit with him.
Definitely you're on the right track with it, Danny, but I want to see what happens this year. Kellen Moore's pretty good play call. And I think Hurts has been through it now and knows that if the right play is called, he should be calling it. And here's one more component I want you to consider, because this is a unique situation in that your quarterback is the son of a football coach, right? And there's not a chance in the world that he and his father did not have many conversations about the level of coaching he was dealing with last year. And my guess would be that his dad would say what I said a minute ago and go, Jalen, don't look like a fool out there. Check it off. You have the authority. Do it. Stop bitching about how bad the play is. Look at the defense and go, all right, this will work, and do it. He's a smart guy who lived football his whole life. His father's been a coach his whole life. His father was his coach when he was in Pop Warner, that kind of stuff. And take it on yourself more. And I think he will. Dan, I'm still a big fan of him. I really am. I may be reading it wrong. I'm watching what's going on right now with the Sixers and Joel Embiid. And I'm going, now that there is a soft player. All right.
Yes.
Joel Embiid is a soft athlete, brilliantly talented, like Hurts, brilliantly talented. Absolutely never there in the big moments. I'm not ready to say that about Hurts. I think Hurts is still I think the next year will tell us a lot about whether or not he's really, really good.
How
I'd be
about this?
surprised if he wasn't.
How about this, Angelo? Somebody asked me that about Embiid the other day. How could you be considered the best player in the game when you're not the best player in the biggest moments? And I went like this. I saw a guy in 83. I think he lost 1 or 2 playoff games, Malone. He was not only the regular season MVP, he was the finals MVP. He was the most dominant player in the league. You want to know how you carry a team across the finish line? You watch Malone play a series. That guy destroyed teams. And if I'm not mistaken, they may have swept the Lakers in that final. They were so dominant that season. And then when I watch this guy, I hate to do that to injured guys, but there's always something with him. Okay, he's limping. He hurt. He's not there. Doesn't show up in a big moment. To me, man, that's not a guy who's ever going to be a number one. He can't be. You can't build your basketball team around him the same way you couldn't build your team around Jabbar. Think about this. Jabbar won a title because of Oscar in Milwaukee. He went out to Los Angeles for about 10 years, won all those MVP awards, won all those scoring titles. They get Magic in 80. What happens? He goes to Philly, plays in game 6, closes it out. Everyone's like, Jabbar's the best center ever. And you're like, well, it's because of the guy at the point.
Yeah. I got to tell you, Dan, people say to me all the time, what do you do all day when you're retired? I'll tell you what I did today. All right. It's still in my blood, right? I looked at the sequence that led to the Knicks getting the lead, where they got the 6 points in a row.
Fight for it.
I looked at it maybe 10 times, and I was looking for one thing. Where's Embiid? Because the team is rebounding poorly, and he's their best rebounder. You want to see an indictment of a player in a big moment. Watch the sequence where the Knicks score the 2 3-pointers. And in between, there's a couple of missed shots. They steal the ball from Maxey. They end up, rebounds are not good. He can't get the rebound. He's never in the right place. He's not diving for the ball then. He's not there when you need him the most. And you go to watch that and you're going to go, this guy's not a winner. He's not a winner. Then after the game, he's on the refs. Yeah, the refs suck. They should have called timeout. You're right. They should have seen it. But where were you? How much money you're making? Where was Joel Embiid when the game was there for him? Not there. And I'll tell you something right now, Dan. They lose this series. They lose the next series. They don't go to the conference finals this year. I would trade him.
Me too.
Because he's 31 years old, right? And here's the other thing. And you touched on that. This injury drama, all right? Am I the only one in the city of Philadelphia who is now seeing through this BS that every year he's questionable? He's got a big injury. He limps off the court.
He's soft.
Will he survive? Is he going to die? And then he limps back on. It's all bullshit. Right? I'm saying it, Dan. I'm using the word. It's not. It's fake. It's a bogus drama being created by a guy who feeds off that kind of stuff. Right? But look, Jordan did it too. But Jordan did it better. And Jordan knew how to win. All right? All these other guys, they're doing it a little. This guy's doing it every year. And the lapdog media in the city of Philadelphia, there's nobody going, this is baloney. This is ridiculous. He's not hurt all the time. He's faking it 3/4 of the time. I don't buy it. I don't believe it. And then I see this guy with the game on the line, standing under the basket, watching everybody else get it. You want a stat, Dan? I'm going to give you a stat, all right? 2 games, they're 0-2. They're bitching about the officials, all right? Josh Hart, shooting guard for the Knicks, 28 rebounds. He's 6'4". Joel Embiid, 7 feet tall, 18 rebounds in 2 games.
Effort.
You're being out-rebounded by 10 rebounds by a shooting guard, and you're bitching about the officials. Why don't you get a rebound? Oh,
He
don't get
has
me
no
started.
heart.
Don't get me started. We were
Hey,
talking Eagles, weren't we? I'm sorry.
no. We're talking drama. I'm going to get to another drama queen that we have to hit on here in a second. But no, you're right. I was ready. I was ready for the Paul Pierce wheelchair to come out here for him and wheel him back out there. And yeah, I mean, if I'm right, didn't he have only 2 rebounds in the second half?
Oh,
I
he
mean,
never makes the big play. Never makes the big play. And then he's bitching. Oh, this is unacceptable. You know what's unacceptable? You not being there when the team needs you to make one friggin' play. Get the ball. Oh, oh,
let me get to another drama. Boy, I'll tell you what, from Ben Simmons to Embiid now,
oh.
I'm going to play this out for you here, and I want you to help me. And I'm going to go on to the Angelo Cataldi couch here, like they do in the afternoon drive now in WIP with that, psychologist that they have of a show where asking players and coaches if they're feeling okay. So I'm going to do this here to my friend Angelo. So I said our company posted a clip. I said this: if you give Devontae Smith an extension, AJ Owens, I call him AJ Brown, is going to start kicking his heels up, and he's going to start making some noise. Now, you tell me if I like conspiracies, okay? So all of a sudden, he starts talking about how his profound love for the Patriots, even though the Eagles are paying him $25 million. Oh, I love this and that, changes the TV. His agent and him find out that Elliott Wolf, the general manager of the Patriots, had called Howie about the availability after the Devontae deal of A.J. Brown. Maybe he did say he's not available. Still, he had it cowed. Then he went through this soliloquy of, well, I love the Patriots. I didn't know it would be this and that. Then he deletes it when he gets called out because they find out. He gets mad at me because I'm calling him A.J. Owens. Here's a guy that, in my opinion, a football team that's coach is questionable with his leadership. The team's questioned down the stretch 1-7 with leadership. Is that needed right now in the offseason by the way, I don't think he's wrong, Angelo, because if I'm him and I look at a guy like Devontae and go, wait a minute, this guy's making $25 million like I am. I'm twice the player he is. I should make more money. I get it. But do you need to do that publicly when a team right now is struggling to be and get everything back on the rails? That's my problem.
You're 100% right. That was a real Bush League move. All right. And he is just, man, talk about drama. This guy, they only play 17 games a year. He fills the other 35 weeks with all this stupid stuff. All right. Here's the thing, Dan. And, at some point, the Eagles have to understand this. And they're not understanding it. What happened with Hassan Reddick is proof that they get intimidated by bitchy players who want more money. And they immediately cave and give them away for way less than their value. A.J. Brown, if he is used correctly, which he was not last year, and he was good last year, but he would have been great. A.J. Brown will get paid by the Philadelphia Eagles when it's his turn to get paid. So don't tell me about wanting to go to the Patriots. You don't. I lived in New England. It stinks up there. You don't want to go there, all right? It's an awful program. They're not like they are here. Enjoy the fact that you're in a great football city. All you got to do is say, what are you going to do? Hold out? You want to hold out? Go ahead. The clock's ticking on your career. You want to blow part of a season or a whole season sitting around waiting? No. You will play with your contract and what we already agreed to. And if you do what we think you can do, you'll get paid. Oh, the Eagles pay. The Eagles are not a cheap organization. But when you start letting guys like that force you to get rid of them before you should, they should not have gotten rid of Reddick. All right.
No,
that was a stupid move. And it was done because they didn't want to malcontent or they didn't want a guy in the final year of his contract. Too bad. Play. You signed for 4 years. You're going to play for me for 4 years. Just do that. You know what's going to happen? He's coming back. And he knows then if he's in a final year, he's going to play his ass off to get the big numbers on the contract for the next one. So, and you know, you just tell them you're playing for us and we're not doing another deal. Just say it. And you know what? They'll come in and they'll play.
How about this, Angelo? I think these big priced wide receivers are overrated. And I'm gonna make a point to you. Devontae Adams in Green Bay. Is Jordan Love better? Yes. Is Mahomes better without Tyreek Hill? Yes. Look at all the 25 to 28 to $30 million quarterbacks. Have they ever won a Super Bowl? Tyreek Hill is now making $30 million. He wasn't in Kansas City. That's why they moved him. He's never winning a title in Miami. And these guys have all been moved in their prime multiple times. Think of it. Stephon Diggs now makes $25 million. This is his third team. A.J. Brown, this is his second team in 3 years. He makes $25 million. Tyreek Hill makes $30 million. This is his second team. If these guys are so important, Angelo, to the success of their football teams, why are they moved in their prime?
It keeps first of all, you know, wide receivers, they tend to be divas to begin with, and they force the issue with their teams. And this was the whole point I was trying to make a minute ago, Dan. Don't give in to him.
Right.
Look, you're running your team. He's under contract. He agreed to that contract. He's going to play under those terms. When we get to the end of it, you want to be a free agent, go ahead. You know what you're going to find? You were better off with me. You got to look at it that way. The Eagles are one of the best franchises in the league. They have a great city with great fans, a great facility. It's all there for you. Just enjoy what you have instead of always worrying about where you're going next. And they just won't do that. And one other thing, you brought up Tyreek Hill. So Mahomes gets rid of, Andy Reid gets rid of Tyreek Hill, and he brings in Rashee Rice, right? And then now Rice apparently was involved in a 6-car crash going 119 miles an hour in a Lamborghini, all right? Are we ever going to reach a point, Dan, where Andy Reid is held responsible for all of the misdeeds by the players he brings in Kansas City? Is that ever going to happen? Because this was an outrageous situation. There was an SMU quarterback involved too. He got suspended. Rice is getting anger management or some stupid classes he's going to. They haven't even done it. They haven't even taken him off the roster. They haven't suspended him. They've done nothing to him. And it's just another example of Andy Reid stockpiling these criminals. And no one ever says, Andy Reid, the funny guy on the TV commercials is doing all this negative stuff in his community. No one ever pins it on him. Why not?
Well, Angelo, they just made him the highest paid coach in the NFL yesterday. And so I'll ask you, okay, he's now the highest paid coach. He makes $24 million a year, and Lamar Hunt is paying him that now. Now, you know, if everyone is doing this about Belichick, well, what has Belichick done without Brady? Well, look at what Reid has done with Mahomes. You can't, and I think this goes to what you're saying here. You know, Andy's a likable guy. Bill's not. And so that's why the negative media look at Bill, because Bill tells the media to go F themselves. Andy embraces them. And so you pick a side here. Andy's the lovable guy. He gets away with some of the things that unfortunately happened in Philly. He gets away with what goes on. His kid, and his kid, wasn't there a car wreck with alcohol involved, and there was nothing that kind of got.
No, after 16 months, they let Britt Reid out of prison. And even though a 5-year-old girl got injuries that she will never fully recover from, he got a 3-year sentence.
Swept under the rug.
No, the governor commuted the sentence. You want an example of preferential treatment? Look, I would rather go to hell than Kansas City, all right? Kansas City is in the stupid Midwest. I would never want to move there. All right. But those people are such hero worshipers that they can't even say. And as for Reed being so great with the media, let me give you a secret about that. He's great with the national media. With the local media, the 14 years he was here, he didn't give us the time of day. He didn't answer one question with any honesty. He didn't show one bit. Les Bowen used to be the beat reporter for the Philadelphia Daily News.
Yeah.
He didn't like a question Les did. He said, "Hey, Les, clean your ears out. I don't want to have to say the same thing twice." All this snappy stuff. Now, people don't see that because he's smiling in the plane for the commercial. Andy Reid is the life of the party. He's a phony. He's a phony. And once again, it happened with Rice. This is horrible what happened. People got injured. There were injuries everywhere. And Andy Reid's name never comes up. As for the $24 million a year, which I did not know, that's insane. I hope he's given half of it to Mahomes, because without him, he's still got 0 championships, Dan. 0.
That leads me to Belichick here. There was a report by Albert Breer and also by Mike Florio that there was a call from Howie to Bill in the process of evaluating whether or not to bring Nick in or keep Nick and keep Sirianni as the head coach. Now, I didn't realize this because I talked to Jimmy Johnson, my coach, and Jimmy said, "Hey, Howie and Bill are friends." I go, "Wow, I didn't know that." And so in the last 8 drafts, Howie Roseman has drafted 4 linemen and no linebackers, no safeties, and no corners. If you're going to turn it over to somebody like that, would it be Bill? Or is this just a pipe dream of a conversation that happened when it came to Jeffrey Lurie? I mean, the chances of him being the head coach, in your opinion, would be what?
It would be, if there were a number under 0, it would be less than 0. All right.
Because of the control factor?
One thing I had to learn in the years that I was on WIP was when to know pure bullshit when it was being out there being marketed. Would the team that did not allow a man who won them a Super Bowl, Doug Peterson, to pick his own assistants, hand the keys of their franchise over to a 71-year-old man who proved nothing without Tom Brady? Would they relinquish that power to Bill Belichick? They relinquish no. The only reason Nick Sirianni's still there is because he's a lapdog for Lurie and Roseman. They're never given the. They're crazy. They've never one time considered a coach who had a resume. They bring the young guys in because the young guys do what they tell them. And when they stop doing it the way Peterson did, they get rid of them. Now, Bill Belichick, if Bill Belichick is ever named the head coach of the Eagles, I will, on your show, I will come on here and I will shave my head, my eyebrows, and my genitalia. That's good. Let me tell you something. That's good TV for you. People enjoy that.
Oh, my God. I'll put the golden thong on. I'll put the Giambi golden thong on if that goes down myself here. You know,
I'll wear a golden thong. How's that?
Hey, last week there was this fireside chat thing that was with Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman. I learned a lot from that thing. And when I heard him say, there was a question that was asked to Nick, what kind of football player do you want? And he said this, well, you really realize, and I'm paraphrasing here, he goes, you really realize the work that Howie and his team does, getting all the information. And man, they just do a lot of work in getting the players and all the things in the background. So when he makes the final decision on the players and the roster, you know that they've done their homework. And I'm going like, well, what's your job? And I go, so wait a minute, this guy picks your players? No wonder you don't have a clear vision on defense on what you're doing over there, because you have a general manager. Doug was right, Angelo. that Sunday roster
Yes.
is predicated by the front office on who plays or not.
So this is where you need a journalist somewhere in there, Dan, to go, all right, Nick, take me through what Howie's thinking was when he picked Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson. Could you tell me all this work he did, this brilliant insight that he had? How did he let Jefferson go so badly that the Vikings were high-fiving and celebrating when they heard Reagor's name at the draft? Could you tell me exactly how brilliant it was, this process that led him to that stiff? No, it's I just realized what you're telling me about this because I missed a couple of these stories. Since I left the business, there's a lot of bull crap out there that I've missed out on. Thank God. I'm happier I'm retired now than I was a half an hour ago, Dan. Wait
a minute, Angelo. People get mad at me for repeating things that others say. You know what I've learned about your Eagle fans and your Philly fans? When you point out reality, some of them refuse to have the truth told. They'd rather be lied to.
Yes, absolutely, because they love their team. It's their love and their passion. But I'll tell you something. You do that often enough. You preach the gospel of Roseman and Lurie often enough, you'll even lose those people. Because I'll tell you why, Dan. Underneath it all, after the collapse of this year, they know what they saw. They're not dumb people. They know football, and you can't lie to them. I lasted 33 years because even when it bothered them, I told them, this guy stinks. This guy's not good. He shouldn't be here. This coach, all that stuff. I did that for all those years, and they kept me around because deep down, they do want the truth.
How about this, Angelo? Why doesn't anyone in the Philly media ask this question? How did you land on keeping with Nick? And do you think Nick Sirianni is the right coach for the development of Jalen Hurts? Is that why are some of these questions now? Is it all about really being a key fob whore to Novacare? Is that what this is really all about now?
That's where it is now, Dan. That's where it is now because you've dealt with it yourself.
Oh,
right? Now I was lucky. All right. I was there before all this management of the media was happening. All right. So I was kind of grandfathered. You come on and tell the truth like we've done just here. You probably get a call from the PR department of the Eagles. Do. And not just you, your boss gets it.
Yeah, the guy who put you on, Xander, they call me probably once a week to let me know how the Eagles, they'll manufacture things, they'll come up with things trying to bully our company and me to not say anything, but I don't give a shit.
Well, see, that's the problem. Most of the people do. They don't have the power or the independence that you had. I had power, you have independence, and that's why you got to listen to Dan, because Dan's giving you his honest opinion. These other guys are pulling punch after punch because their job's in jeopardy, or their place at the station is in jeopardy. So they won't do it anymore. And the Eagles are winning that battle. They're winning the PR battle.
When did that change, Angelo?
Going on.
Angelo, when did that change for you as a broadcaster? When, to me, it just seems that Odyssey and some of these other companies that allow these, when you have property rights of, say, the Eagles or the Sixers or the Flyers, there's just more say now that these organizations have when it comes to picking the on-air talent, when it comes to the content. I mean, you're not allowed. Like, I wasn't allowed when I was with Odyssey to talk about the Padres in a bad way or the Red Sox in a bad way when I was on EEI. I mean, you're sitting there going like, well, how do you do a show then?
I wouldn't do the show. See, that's the one thing I drew the line in the sand early. I'm either going to give my opinion or I'm not going to work here. And here's why I was able to do that. And remember, WIP was the flagship station of the Eagles, or they are the flagship station of the Eagles and the Phillies, the two biggest teams in the city. I was making them money. I was making enough money so that they couldn't justify getting rid of me. The show I did made a lot of money. And they went, holy, we're going to walk away from all that money? We're going to let this guy go? And needless to say, there was another station in the city. I would not have made it a secret that I would go over there and do it for them who didn't have the contract with the Eagles. And I could say this to you, and I don't think a lot of people can. And I was just lucky in my timing. There wasn't one time, Dan, that I pulled a punch. If I was angry about a team that we had a business deal with or the PR guy was on our case, I ignored it. I tuned it out. And to the credit of the people I work for, you may have had a different experience with Odyssey. Not one time did they draw a line in the sand. Occasionally they said, well, you think you went too far, whatever. But they never one time said, you can't say that. And if they did, I would have left. I would have been AJ Brown. I would have started tweeting out.
You would have had a logo of 97.5.
Yeah, I would have subtle stuff like that, you know.
Do you miss it?
No. Well, I guess the way I yelled and screamed today, it sounds like I probably did.
Well, I thought you were gold.
Why I don't is because honestly, Dan, in a way, just coming out with you, I get it out of my system. Right? And the pay isn't great now. I'll acknowledge that. But it's still, this is more than enough for me. That's why have I ever said no to you when you invited me on?
No.
Because I feel like we share an approach. We share the way we do things. And I always feel
have a bond,
honored
Angelo. We have a bond. Absolutely.
We do. And I feel honored when you invite me. And I'll probably always say yes, despite the very poor pay I'm getting.
Really? Well, I'll get you some Odyssey coupons for a local Hooters. Okay. I mean, we'll do that here. Are you still finally here? Are you still at 5.5 wins, or has that wobbled a little bit for you?
Look, there's a draft coming up. If everything breaks perfectly, the Nostradamus may go to 6. Dan, you told me 10.5 is what Vegas had?
Yeah.
Right? I already told my wife, book a trip. We're about to win some money. I'm taking the under on that one for sure.
I'm going back to St. Thomas. Hey, we're going back to St. Thomas in a better hotel.
Good idea. Right. On the bookies. I'll do it on the bookies.
Hey, tell folks where they can get the blog and how they can get in touch with you, and how folks, again, by the way, don't forget too, the great book. And he's also got it out on audio too, if I'm not mistaken.
All that, just go to angelocataldi.com. It's totally redone. The whole website is now. I'm doing video spots every week for a minute or two on my TV picks. And I'm doing, I'm writing for the blog every week, including, I just wrote one now that it's time after this series to say goodbye to Big Joel Embiid. Enough of this drama. I'm done with him.
How much do you think you'd get for him?
You know what? A lot. People who look at him and go, we'll just keep him healthy for a year. We'll be unbeatable. Look at him. He's still a dominant center. He's 31. He's athletic. He's in his prime. And then they'll get him and he'll play 38 games.
He'll be the Kawhi Leonard on the 5. Hey, I'll play load management. I'll play 55 games for you, and I'll go do it with the Clippers. But he'll be up there in Los Angeles, and it'll be like Olo with Candy.
Right. Oh, look, the guy with the beard. I'm back with him.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it, Angelo. God bless you, my friend.
Be well, my friend.
You got it. The great Angelo Cataldi. Don't forget to catch his book, too. See, great minds think alike. Do they not? Woo, baby, how you doing? Papa gotta eat. No wonder that guy lasted 30, 40 years in your market. No wonder. 10+ wins. You had 11 last year and you sucked. Hey, get this. 10-1, Sills. 10-1. How about that explosion on Embiid? But that explosion on the front office and the way that they do business, everything I echoed to you, flexing. Angelo's been saying for 30 years. He's been saying the same. Wait a minute. I didn't realize. So the stuff that I've been saying for 3 years, he's been saying for 30, Xander. He's been saying for 30. The same stuff I say. Brian, how about that? No wonder. Absolutely. Yeah. Did you forget? Our division sucks except the Cowboys. The winner of the NFC this year will be 9-7 at best. And it won't be the Eagles. They're going to be 7. No, they're not. I forgot. You're 7-10 tops this year. 7-10. 7-10 because of that shit box defense. Yes, sir. Oh, top of the hour. Interesting. I got something here we're going to do. Next victim, Howie Roseman. You got to go from one guy who's got to step. By the way, why aren't you expecting more out of your quarterback? Why does it have to be me? Take my bet then? No. You see, Twiz, I don't really give a shit about how many wins you have this year. I care how far you go. Wins? What's that got to do with winning championships? You won 11 games last year. Didn't do dick for you. I mean, you've won 25 games in 2 years, and you look like shit last year, and you walk backwards. Get this. Everybody had a pretty good year last year, except your team. Everybody had career years, except your team. How funny is that? Hey, everyone played well. You know, I got my numbers. I got my pay. What about the team? You 1-7. Oh, brown jersey would look nice on you, Sills. No. But I would have to get Bozo the Clown on my jersey for it to be AJ Owens. It would be Bozo the Clown. Okay? Bozo the Clown. We had a career meltdown. You think? Yeah, but wait a minute. Slugger, everyone had a career year. How did you have a meltdown when you had career years? Get it customized. AJ Owens. AJ Owens. Man, with a big tear. Be Bozo. If I were going to get a logo of AJ Owens from the Eagles, I'd have to have Bozo the Clown crying. Hey, when he walks, when he making fun of me. Oh, God. And then a quarterback doing this. I don't know. 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 How you doing, right? Sills, who's Bozo? AJ Brown or Sirianni? Well, I'll take AJ Brown any day over to Nick Sirianni. Are you kidding me? The greatest coach in Eagle history, according to some. The greatest coach of all time. Nick Sirianni. If we win 11 games this season, Sills has to say, if you win 11 games, it won't mean dick again. You go home in the first round. Like the Buccaneers spanked you. This is what the Bucs did to you at the end of the year. Yeah, I'm sorry, but let me know when you're gonna duck. That's the Eagles getting their face punched in. They're nice and red now. Let me know when to stop. Oh, wait. 59, 60. Okay. That's what happened to your 11-win team. You got face punched. And then Baker Mayfield sat on your face. Oh. New coordinators. Oh, wow. Those guys are wonderful, man. I mean, get this. Kellen Moore, whew, he was magic in Dallas. You remember all those Super Bowls he went to? Do you remember that? Man, you remember those NFC Championship games that Kellen Moore took the Cowboys to? Oh, wait, I don't. I must have missed that. Hey, I must have missed that one. Wow, Kellen Moore is going to be, this guy's going to be, he's a massive upgrade. From what you had, that's your, get this. So you go from the smallest hill you go from the smallest hill in the Appalachians and go, hey, this is a massive hill. What's that, this big? Tills, I can't stand your arrogance, but when you're right. Hurts is not a pure passer. That's why Howie is not focusing on the D, and he's putting everything around the kid. I can't stand my arrogance. You sound like my wife, my aunt, Xander, and everyone else. It's not arrogance. It's confidence. There's a fine line, my good friend. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. Thank you for the super chat. And the fireside chat. Sills, what happens if the Eagles go 6-11? Be the best thing in the world happen to you. You figure out your quarterback sucks finally. You fire your coach, clean house, you bring a guy in, and you have a ready-made offense for a quarterback that's capable of moving the sticks. It's not that hard to really figure out. You don't have the quarterback. Hey, when the guy in the huddle is the worst guy, it's your quarterback compared to the other talent you have, you might want to take a look at that. Jerry Jones sucks, dude. Not serious about winning. I think Jerry Jones, 304. I think Jerry's got his 3 Super Bowl wins. And I think it's got everything to do with growing the brand and the value of the team. He bought the team for $154 million. It's worth $10 billion now. He's got 3 Super Bowls. His legacy's set. Some go, well, he hasn't done anything in 30 years. Doesn't matter. In his time owning the team, he won more Super Bowls than Bub Wright and Clint Richardson did owning the team. Am I right? Right? 304. Clint Richardson and also Bum Bright did not win more Super Bowls than Jerry Jones. Jerry's got 3. Those dudes got 2. And they won, they won the 70, early 71, and they won the 79 one or the 78 one against the Broncos. There was only 2 Super Bowls that those 2 ownerships shared. Jerry's won 3 himself. He's doubled them. Since 1960, that organization, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to think. Yeah, because the Cowboys have 5 Super Bowls, right? They got 3 under Jerry and 1 under Clint Richardson and the other one under Bum Bright. Jimmy is the reason they won, not Jerry. It's still 304. You got to remember, though, he did hire Jimmy. He did hire Jimmy. The Cowboys are football's. That's a great take, Chuck. Chuck, that's a spectacular take. The Dallas Cowboys are football's version of Toronto Maple Leafs. You know the Toronto Maple Leafs? Watch this here. Big Sills, big Sills, big Sills. The Toronto Maple Leafs have not won a Stanley Cup since 1968. Am I right, Chuck? 1968 is the last time the Toronto Maple Leafs won a Stanley Cup. And I think they're second all time to the Canadiens. I think the Habs have the most, and I think the Toronto Maple Leafs are second, and they haven't won a title since 68. So I don't know why 1968 sticks out in my head for the last time the Maple Leafs. But that's a great take. It's a great take. And they choke in the playoffs every year. Anthony, they got really great talent. It's a great fan base. Maple Leaf Gardens is by far one of the absolute best places to go see a hockey game. Sensational. Just absolutely sensational. Toronto Maple Leafs haven't won a Stanley Cup since 67. Okay, 67 it is. I thought it was 68. Okay, 67. Thank you, Sean. Eagles are drafting O-line with the first pick. That's not a horrible pick. It's not a horrible pick. They got a bunch of great players in that draft. So I think the Eagles are going to draft Teron Arnold or Latu from UCLA. I like the kid from UCLA. Sills, is it fair to say that the strength of the U during your era was consistency in staff? If so, Jalen's comments are not off base. Should have kept quiet, but does that not mean he's wrong? No. But I would also say, Bob, he's not wrong, Bob. There's no question that the reason that Jimmy won at the college level and at the pro level was because he had the same coaching staff. Those guys all knew what they wanted and what they looked in for players. But there was something about what in the structure, Bob, on how they did business. And this is how they did business. Jimmy looked at Dave Wannstedt or looked at Butch Davis or looked at Dave Campo and looked at those guys at the pro and college level. And you know what they did? They allowed those guys to pick the type of players they wanted. You understand what I'm saying? Like, if you like a player and your personnel department comes to you and they say, here are the top 5 players at the offensive tackle position or defensive tackle or linebacker position. The coaches will start going, I like this guy. Coach will get on the horn with him, start talking to him. And before you know it, you really have a great opportunity to pick a guy that you want. In Howie's world, coaches have no say in who they're going to take. They have absolutely no say when it comes to that. Here, let me give you a for instance here. I'll show you what the Patriots did for me. This was a letter that the Patriots sent me. I think I can bring it up here. You know how you make those visits, those 30 visits? Well, here's my letter from New England. Here's my letter, and I think it says, what year was this? Yeah, 1986. There's from Dick Steinberg, and this is what it reads. Dear Dan Sileo, after carefully examining the nation's top college football talent, we are considering you as a prospect in either the first or second round of the National Football League draft in 1986. In the event that we get the opportunity to draft you, it is important for us to know. Back then, you didn't go to the draft. You were in your own campus. You know, you were in your own campus. You didn't really show up to New York unless you were like one of the top 5 guys. And it goes on, and Dick Steinberg, you can see it down here, is the director of player personnel at the time for the Patriots. I went up and had a great visit. They had just drafted Mike Ruth, it turned out not to be, and I thought I was going to go in the first round to the Patriots. They took me around. I went there. I went to the Steelers. I went to the Packers. I went to the 49ers. I went to Seattle. Those are all the places that I took my visit. back then, I don't think there was a limit on. I've posted this picture on my Twitter too, in this letter that I got from the Pats. But to me, it would have been awesome because it's close to home. So, I mean, I like what they do. Coaches are literally forced to play Rager and J-Jaw. That's right, because Howie drafted him. Anthony, there's your flaw. All you have to do is look at your depth chart right now. Kobe Dean's in the starting lineup. How? Howie put him there. No right-minded coach that's a linebacker coach would ever put that dude in there. Nobody I know. You think Dave Wannstedt's going to put a coach or a player like Kobe Dean in his starting lineup? Absolutely not. That's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. This guy Wheels goes, Dan wouldn't say this stuff to AJ's face. Yes, I would. The difference between me and your media in Philly, anonymous sources, once you put and have some balls and put your name on something, I put my name on everything I say. That's the difference between me and you and your media. Sources say. Those are worms. I don't say sources say. I say Frank Wright. I say Dan Morgan, Alonzo Highsmith, people I know in the business, Tom Telesco, who have been on the program. I don't hide. And this guy Wheels says, no, I don't. Really? I don't go sources. Whatever, dude. Again, here's the guy that wants to be lied to. Okay, you're right. I don't. Anonymous sources. You mean like Howard Eskin on the knee pads for the Eagles saying that AJ may get a contract extension? Who do you think told him that to get that out? He only has a job today because he's tied to the Eagles. That's the only reason. And he knows it. Okay? Sills, you use the word structure. That is not a word that can be used when talking about Nick and his staff. That's right. There's no structure. The structure is in the front office, not the coaching staff. Hence the move from Desai to Patricia. That's not structure. No coach in his right mind would have made that move when you're 10-1. And Sean Desai had coordinated the pants off of the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. He had beaten the Bills. He had beaten the Chiefs. How do you fire a guy to beat the Chiefs? Get this. You fired a D coordinator that beat the world champion Chiefs. Can you justify that? How do you justify that? How do you justify beating the world champions? Because he had a bad game against San Francisco? How do you justify that? How do you justify firing Brian Johnson when everybody in the huddle had career years? They're excuse makers. The front office runs your team. And it's why you're not 3-1 in Super Bowls instead of 1-3. Do you get it? That this is the frustration with your Eagles. Okay? This is the frustration with the Eagles. The frustration. Okay? They should, but not for you guys, because you love 10-1. And the only time the coaching staff had control, we won. Get this, Anthony, think about something here. The only time that the coaches in the Jeffrey Lurie era that had complete control were Andy Reid, Chip Kelly, and Doug Peterson. You can say whatever you want about Chip. He did have a winning record. He did draft Lane Johnson. He did hire Stoutland. Right? He did. He hired those guys. He got rid of dead weight in Deshaun Jackson and Shady McCoy. 2 years later, he won a Super Bowl. He was right. You guys hate when it's uncomfortable, I know, when I say that. You didn't need him because 2 years later, that organization won a Super Bowl with Doug Peterson and great coaching. You could say whatever you want about how great Shady and Deshaun are. They didn't do shit for you either. Did they? Did they? He wasn't wrong. His bedside manner sucked. Chip had a winning record and gave us Ertz, Johnson, Stoutland. Andy was consistent. Doug won a championship, and the executives can't stand it. Anthony, dead on. Xander, please put that up, what Anthony did, because here's one of the very few Eagle fans that absolutely see exactly what Chip did. His bedside manner stunk. And what happened was, when Howie got put into the broom closet, he was never going to be ever shoved back in. And that's why he has complete control of your franchise. You lost the Super Bowl because of shitty coaching. And because you had a coach in Jonathan Gannon who was looking for his next gig. They used the players. And by the way, I'm not going to put that tag on Jonathan Gannon or on Shane Steichen. I think Shane had the best interest of the Eagles and Jalen, and it showed in his performance. And once he left the building, the true coach of the team left the building. Right? The true head coach of the Eagles left the building. You let him go to Indianapolis. I mean, that's kind of how it played out. I mean, Chip put the organization in order, real structured, just not a people person. Picking, dead on. Dead on. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. That's exactly. And hey, and for the record, Picking, you got to remember, when he was at Oregon, that structure was pretty put in place by the previous head coach who was up there forever. His name escapes me, but he had put that in order, and plus Phil Knight was putting all the money in, and all the recruits were going to Oregon because of the shoe deals. So if you think about it, the only true place that he really had success was early in Philly and at Oregon. And to some extent, UCLA, even though UCLA doesn't spend money on their football program, they never will. There's no nil money. That's why he left for OC job with Ohio State. UCLA has no interest in building a football program. It's a basketball school. It'll always be a basketball school. And Shane literally said in his Colts presser, he thanked every player for helping get the Colts job. Again, and never went back for his stuff in the office. Why would he? He wanted out. And by the way, Anthony, how embarrassing to know that guy outcoached your coach with lesser talent. Jonathan Gannon beat Nick Sirianni in your high-powered offensive talent. I mean, is that not embarrassing? Jonathan Gannon, who was house hunting during the Super Bowl. Okay? Bob goes, Boomer told you that Jalen needs to get used to playing under his contract. Yeah, I didn't really think much about that comment, but it really is played out. It must be hard to do when you're working with dysfunction. It's hard to hold Jalen's feet to the fire knowing that. Well, he's got to learn to say no. He's got to learn to go, I don't like that play. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't. Chip had no personality and bad social person. Yes, Steve. Yes, agreed. Absolutely. In many ways, Steve, he was Bill Belichick without the winning. You know what I mean? Like nobody would ever go, Bill Belichick is going to win press conferences. He's not going to win press conferences. Chip's a jerk, but knew football. That's accurate. How about this? Chip Kelly's a better coach than Nick Sirianni. He set you up to win a Super Bowl. Sirianni's terrible. As soon as he lost his coordinators, the bottom fell out of the team. Frank, that's all you need to know. And get this, Frank. Here's where I would have been more on Sirianni's side with all this. You want me to tell you? If Sirianni had hired those coordinators, I would have went, well, those are Nick's calls. They weren't. They were the front office calls. They were. Kellen Moore is the head coach in waiting. Frank, here's what's going to happen, and I've laid this out. If Jalen Hurts has a turnaround year and he looks great, they'll never let him out of the building, and Nick Sirianni will resign. And if he doesn't, they'll both be fired. Kellen Moore is on a one-year trial basis as offensive coordinator in Philly. He's on his third job in 3 years. That's how great a coordinator he is. Do you see what they did in Kansas City with Steve Spagnuolo? Other teams like the 49ers were trying to pry him away from Kansas City. You know what Kansas City did? Not happening. Made him the highest paid defensive coordinator in the NFL. Made him the highest assistant coach in the NFL. And now he gets to pick his spot if he wants to get back into coaching. And what I really love about the organization out west with the Rams, you had Les Snead and Kevin Demoff, the front office guys, going, I sure hope Steve Spagnuolo gets another chance at being a head coach in the NFL. We did nothing. We did nothing for him. We didn't build a team around him. We didn't give him all the ammunition he needed. We really let him down. He is a quality. I've never heard an organization do that. I've never heard an organization throw that much love at a guy who's been out of their building for decades and say that that guy deserves an opportunity to be a head coach, and it was our fault he failed here. You think Howie would ever, or Jeffrey Lurie would ever come out and say, hey, this was our mistake by not helping Doug more? Never. You know why? Because they think everything was about them. That's why you're 1-3. That's frustrating. That's frustrating. That's the frustrating part. Okay? That's the frustrating part of it. You're so close. And in many ways, you're far from winning. Going in his fourth year, what has Nick actually given us? He hasn't hired a great coach. He doesn't pick the players. His culture is full of quitters. Nick isn't a qualified. I've said this, Anthony. He's not qualified to be a head football coach in the National Football League. Not with his sideline antics, screaming at fans in Indianapolis, Arizona, and Kansas City, acting like an asshole. He has no maturity. And when you hear people like D. Gunn saying, Big Dom's on the sidelines to keep that guy in check, even the quarterback has to keep the coach in check. When your quarterback is more mature than your head coach, you got a problem. Your coach isn't mature, and he doesn't pick his players, and he doesn't pick his staff. I'm not sure what he picks. Maybe his nose? What's he do? Here, I'll make this point to you. I personally, without a doubt, believe this. I think if Jalen Hurts is going to get better, you guys have to get worse. Got to fire Nick, get him out of there, get somebody in here who's qualified, and help the kid. Maybe hired one of these high-powered offensive coaches in college that understand the RPO better. Get him back to that. And I'll even say this to you. If you put him back in line to be an RPO quarterback, you'll be again in line to go into a Super Bowl. Making him a drop-back passer, you're further away. So let me do this. Aren't you further away today than you were in 22? with what they're trying to accomplish? Seals, do you think the Eagles can trade Jalen for value? I'm not trading Jalen Hurts. Who are you going to put in there? One of those quarterbacks that are in the draft? No, thank you. I don't think any one of those guys. Now, there's not one quarterback in the draft better than Hurts. Let's get that can. Let's get. I'm not taking Jalen Hurts out of the starting lineup and out of Philly for Drake May. No, thank you. Or Bo Nix. I mean, I'm not doing that. No, thank you. He's better than anything in that draft and maybe even in next year's draft. Not happening. I'd rather stick with him. Defense is worth player-wise. It is. Hey, when you have Nolan Smith and Nakobe Dean as starters on your defense, and you don't have Hassan Reddick, your defense is worse. Absolutely. Absolutely. Still, Shane was on year 2 of being a coordinator. Wouldn't you agree it takes time for OCs to learn the likes and dislikes over time? Well, Twiz, why didn't they give Brian Johnson and Sean Desai that latitude? They were 10-1 when they got beat, or 10-2 after they lost to the 49ers. Get this. It's a great call, Twiz. Twiz, you were 10-2. You had just lost to the 49ers, and you had just lost to the Cowboys. You were 10-2, and in previous weeks, you had beaten the Chiefs, the Bills, the Cowboys, the Rams, the Bucks. You had beaten some pretty good teams, right? Well, 2 games, you panicked. They panicked. A good coach doesn't panic. And see, this is where Nick they exposed Nick. Because no coach in his right mind is going to change out a coordinator at 10-2. And you just beat Mahomes and Allen. And then at the end of the year, you blame both those guys for your failures. That's called deflecting. I mean, the players, well, what's the coaching and bad coordinating? Well, I'll tell you what, everyone got contract extensions almost and brand new deals on offense. Couldn't have been that awful. Couldn't have been that awful. Seals, Howie and Jeffrey admitting they made mistake. Gold standard franchise don't make mistakes. They cover their gaps with big moves to deflect attention. Yeah, because again, I told you, the number one thing that they're controlled with and obsessed with is control, more so than anything. We're gonna take a time out here, and we're gonna take a look at the draft coming up here, and also too, something that Xander said about 2 weeks ago. Is it really smart to give Howie more draft picks? Is it? Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and certainly the easiest when you're watching the NBA. And the NBA playoffs are almost here, and you can win money making picks. What are you waiting for? Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com and use the promo code WIN. An Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN. Get ready for the NBA and get ready for the NBA playoffs. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Philadelphia fans. We're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Mike Little was a union construction worker who was badly injured when he suffered a horrific fall because of someone's negligence. His life would change forever.
It was just a real downward spiral with everything. Everything you do, and you're sitting home by yourself all day. You can't go out because you can't drive, you can't walk well. It was just a horrible situation.
Call Brian Fritz at the Fritz & Beyond Cooley Law Firm at 215-548-2222.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Sometimes you never know who's watching the show. Ton of Eagle fans watch the show. So my wife brought something in the first hour of the program. Would you guys like to see what was brought to me from the folks in Brooksville? You want to see? Jim Johnson signed it. Chris Carter signed it. James Jones from the Lions signed it. Mark Carrier, my former teammate with the Bucks. And this was one of the golf classics that sponsored Jerome's golf tournament. And the city of Brooksville wanted me to have it. No, James Jones, the running back for the Lions. And let me put it this way for you guys. City of Brooksville sent this to me. Dan, we feel you should have this. Jerome would want you to have it. Oh, wow. I didn't see this. I just opened it. Clyde Simmons, Seth Joyner, Andre Waters. Is that Waters' signature? I think so. Yeah, that's Andre Waters' signature. Anthony Edwards, Keith Jackson. It's your turn to play golf with NFL professionals. The Jerome Brown Classic. Door prizes. The city of Brooksville wanted me to have this. I have no idea. I just opened it. I had no idea what was in it. No idea. They said, we believe Jerome Brown would want you to have this. Pretty cool. Seals, can we please get Jerome's jersey up? Yeah, I think we're going to have to. I think we're going to have to, Denny. I agree with you. I think we're going to have to do that. Yeah. Seals, how's your golf game? I haven't played in a long time, my friend, but it used to be really good. Used to be really good. All right. I'm kind of taken by this. There's a letter in there. I haven't even read it because I had to get back on the air because Xander's a slave driver here. But see this here? Look at that. It's a great picture of Jerome, isn't it? See that? So I may have to put this up because you guys accuse me of not having enough Eagle stuff up. So we'll put that right over here until I can figure out what to do with it. My wife's going to kill me. So much shit I have down here right now. Crazy. And Xander goes, that's got to go up. It's sick. I know. Dude, Andre Waters signed it too. Andre Waters, Chris Carter. On the back, I've got Clyde Simmons and all these other guys. Former Lion James Jones. Jim Johnson, the D coordinator of the Eagles, signed it. Pretty cool. I'm pretty taken that the city of Brooksville would send that to me. Like the community center sent that. Cool. Love it. Howie is a draft god. Spoken like a true Cowboy fan. So, wait a minute here. So the Eagles are going to get fined and penalized for tampering on Saquon Barkley because of that dumbass James Franklin. And Howie jumping the rails and getting in front of Saquon Barkley. You're probably going to be shocked when I say this. So what? If Barkley comes up and Barkley gives you 1,300 yards and almost $2,000 in total offense, and Howie gets fined a third or fourth rounder, I don't care. Good for him. Howie cheated. Howie cheat. Wait, Howie Rose cheat. What's it called? Bella cheat? Howie cheat. Howie cheated. Howie cheated. The Falcons and the Eagles, it will not be decided this week, but the NFL is going to come down and they're going to find them draft picks. Both teams. The Falcons for Cousins and the Eagles for Barkley. Howie cheat. The masked Keebler. Funny as hell. The ski mask Keebler. Yeah. Oh, my God. The librarian cheater. Go get him. Hey, Howie, this is where you and I are on the same page, kid. Go get him, Howie cheat. Howie cheated. Howie the Saint cheated. Howie, not you. You mean you called the player before it was not legal tampering time? And you contacted the player and James Franklin corroborated it? Oh, no, not me. Holy cow. Howie Belichick. Oh, my God. Not a first or second rounder, Barb. Oh, my. Hey, Barb, the best thing in the world that could happen for Howie cheat is if they take the first rounder away. How about this? Hey, did the Eagles have a good 2025 draft? Yeah, why? The league took the first rounder away and they hit on everything else. Yeah. James Franklin sucks as a coach. He should not be coaching Penn State football. This guy beats up at Indiana and Northwestern, and when he gets in the game against Michigan and Ohio State, I mean, he looks like he coaches at Temple. Sorry, I know, it looks like he coaches at Temple. Oh, man. We may lose a 5th rounder next year. Howie cheat. Wow. Howie's cheating? You mean he's cheating free agency? Well, you should take a first-round draft choice away. I don't really believe that. I don't care, really, at the end of the day. I don't give a shit what he does. I don't want it to be a high pick, and I don't think it will be. But I don't really care. Good. He's a terrible head coach. You're right. Please, NFL, take our picks away. It's addition by subtraction. Sills Howie says, I good with conversation. I mean, calculation. With all those draft assets, what are you going to do with all of them? I told you, I'm good with calculation. I'm good with calculation. James Franklin is no Joe Paterno. I said it. Joe Paterno. Oh my God. Not Joe Paterno. I mean, Bill Belichick had a murderer in the locker room, and Bob Kraft gave him a contract extension, knowing full well that he was a maniac. Shh. The NFL doesn't like you knowing that they harbor monsters in some places. Don't say nothing. Oh, I'm a Joe Paterno fan as a coach. Let his program get it. He stayed too long. Chasing down that all-time record cost him his legacy. He stayed too long. Should have won his last national title, got out of Dodge, and retired. Get out of there before they villainized him like they did. You think Penn State? ESPN won't even bring his name up. Nobody in the media will bring his name up anymore. He's one of the greatest top 3 coaches in the history of college football. He's produced more NFL Hall of Famers than any school on the East Coast, except maybe ours or Florida State. I mean, Joe Paterno is a legendary coach who lost his way because he allowed his program to be bigger than it should have been. It happens, man. I had a great relationship with Joe Paterno. I did. And I revere it. I do. Okay. Yeah, Angelo was on at 2:30, Barb. I thought they had to prove tampering. This is almost impossible to prove. Woo, Crowley. Looks like the Falcons and the Eagles are going down. Howie cheat. Yeah. Howie cheat. They ripped down the statue. Why? Everyone looks like the Joe Paterno raped those kids. It wasn't Joe Paterno. Again, remember, Joe Paterno's not responsible for what happened. He's accountable for what happened because it's his program. His name is on the marquee. And when your name is on the marquee, you're accountable for everything that falls under. Like when I put a stupid tweet up, I represent a company. Xander's not responsible for that, but he's accountable. And I have to be. Okay? He's not responsible for what others do in his company, but he's accountable because it falls under his umbrella. Everyone knows this. That's what happened to Paterno. He's not responsible. He's accountable. But accountability sometimes, I mean, and you look at our sick society. You know, I was watching a video of Alec Baldwin today getting harassed, getting coffee in the morning. Everyone knows what happened out in the desert, that tragic story. Woman gets shot, killed, what happened. And this girl wants this guy, I don't even really like Alec Baldwin. And wants Alec Baldwin to, like, say shit about Israel or support Palestine. Who the hell are you? People don't have boundaries today. And I guess he smacked the phone out of her hand. People don't have boundaries, man. She's got no right to say that, whether you like him or not. You have no right to say that. You have no right. Steve goes, I don't blame Joe Pa. It's always going to be a tough conversation. But what I don't like, Steve, is our society today just ignoring the fact of what he did at Penn State. JAKIB Sports still makes you accountable a lot. Yeah. That's why I put my name on everything, good or bad. Unlike you. I put my name on everything I do. Okay? It's Xander calling me soft. Ball deserves all the crap being thrown at him. Arrogant turd. Okay. At a coffee shop? I don't know. I don't have a problem with him smacking her. Or the phone out of her hand. I don't have a problem. I mean, it was harassment. I almost took the bait, Ultra Cowboy. I almost took the bait. Not going to go there. Dan is a bad teammate. Really? That's why all my coaches come on. Because I'm a bad teammate? Is that why? Michael Irvin and all them come on? Because I was a bad teammate? I'm the kind of teammate that holds everyone accountable like this guy did. Where is this? Like this guy did. See this guy right here? He and I? You think he and I held people accountable? You're damn right we did. You didn't play hard? Get out. You gave up too many big plays? Get out. We threw guys out of our huddle all the time. You're not playing hard enough. Get out of here. You're not working hard enough. Russell Maryland, Cortez Kennedy, all them guys came to us to help them. And we did. Because you know why? We weren't going to them. I went to Jim Burt. He went to Jim Burt. That's how we got better. We got better because we went to guys who went on to the next level and asked for their help. And they helped us. But they were going to come to you. We're not getting Surtain now. We love Roger. Hey, Danny Stubbs, one of my hey, Ultra Cowboy. You know the cool thing about Danny Stubbs? Danny Stubbs is born on the same day I am. I'm an hour ahead of him being born. We have the same initials, and we played on the same D line for 2 years at Miami for Jimmy. And Dave wants that, and everyone used to go, "Are you guys related?" Jerome Brown gone too soon. Best D-line drafted by the Eagles. Reggie was in a supplemental, so Jerome Brown, the best D-lineman drafted in the last 40 years, probably. Fletcher's right there, but Jerome's probably the best D-lineman drafted in the last 40 years in Philly. Let's get to that. Let's get to that topic. Absolutely true. Hey, I'm gonna before I do that. Okay, before I do that, I want to show you how petty. It's not just A.J. Owens that moans. Look at this thing with Tyreek Hill. So Tyreek Hill was on a show a couple days ago, and he said this about Isaiah Pacheco, who now wears 10. Tyreek Hill's number. That's cool. The D-line was great. Brown, Sileo, Stubbs. Bill Hawkins, who was a first-round pick by the Rams, was the other guy. Ultra. Jimmy Jones played behind. Jimmy Jones and Russell Maryland all were Cowboys, drafted by the Cowboys. Cortez was a backup to us, too. So the backups were Jimmy Jones, Cortez Kennedy, Russell Maryland, and I forget the other defensive end. That was our backups. All those guys were first-round draft choices, too. We had first- and second-round draft choices on our line, and then our backups were first- and second-round draft choices, too. Show you how deep we were. We had first-round draft talent on both. So Tyreek Hill is disrespecting, and he feels that the Kansas City Chiefs are being disrespectful. Even though Pacheco's got 21, 39 in 2 years and 14 touchdowns and 2 Super Bowls. But he's respected by the Chiefs because they gave his number 10 to Isaiah Pacheco. Dude, who are you? You're nowhere near one of the greatest Chiefs of all time. You played there how many years? 3? That's not a career. You think you're better than Otis Taylor? Or some of the other players that have played there in the past that have put 10-year careers up? Guy's a crybaby. Just like your guy. A.J. Owens. Hey, wait, treat me bad in Tennessee. I love the Patriots. Look at these two guys. One guy's crying about disrespect in Kansas City. He's been out of there 3 years or 2 years now. And the other guy's professing his love affair for the Patriots. Are these guys not worms? Are these guys not worms? Well, I can't believe they gave my number 10. What? Who are you, guy? Yeah, Tyreek Owens. I'm there. Tyreek Owens. Sure, it fits him too. I can't believe they gave my number to a player in Kansas City. Dude, they don't need you. They just won 2 Super Bowls without you. And the kid is the main reason and part of the main reason they won him without you. Right? This guy is also bipolar. Dude, here's the Xander's point. You're making $30 million a year as the highest paid wideout. You know your career's not going anywhere near a Super Bowl. So you're going to do what A.J. Owens does, collect numbers and catches and paycheck, which is fine. But don't pretend like you're going to lead the Miami Dolphins with Tagovailoa and the guy who wears a Hello Kitty backpack to a Super Bowl. I mean, one guy makes $25 million, and watch this. Here's A.J. Owens. I would like to take a vow that my love affair for the Patriots is profound. And when they drafted the guy from Arizona State, I cried. I cried wholeheartedly. And it broke my heart for months that the Patriots didn't draft me. And I was profoundly hurt of my life. Even until now, with me making $25 million a year, one of the top 3 wide receivers in the NFL, I'm so hurt to this day. I had to watch Dynasty the other day. Why don't you watch some of those games, the last 6 games of the year, where you stunk out loud? You think he whimpers when he moans? A.J. Owens? I have a love affair with the Patriots. Go play there. Would you rather play in New England, or would you rather, like Angelo said, would you rather play in New England or Philly? Give me Philly every night. At least they're trying to build a winner. In New England, the only reason New England's not a winning franchise. They were winning franchise because of Belichick. They've never been before or after. It's not a coincidence. Well, Bill sucked his last 4 years. How about the 70 years that they've been in existence? So 20 of it has been spectacular in the greatest dynasty of all time. The other 50 have sucked. Have sucked. Here's A.J. Owens. My profound love affair. I can't believe they didn't draft. This guy is such. And Tyreek Hill or Tyreek Owens. They gave my number 10 away. These guys are worms. What do you care about a number in Kansas City? You make $30 million a year in Miami. Are you crazy? I mean, my God almighty, would I not care about anything that goes on in any of those cities if I was getting a direct deposit or a famous Xander Venmo for $25 million? Xander sent me $25 million on a Venmo. That's quite a number coming out, though. I'm like, why am I concerned with anything going on in the world? See, once you get that kind of money and you're worrying about petty shit like that, you're automatically always going to be petty. I mean, he made his choice to leave for the money. Don't complain. Sue, right. And now, Sue, you know what his problem is? He's upset because it's been now found out. Chiefs didn't need him. They're better without him. The best deep threat in the league, and maybe league history, has been exposed. That's why when you guys keep telling me A.J. Brown helps the Eagles win Super Bowls, Tyreek Hill has been exposed. They don't need him. And they proved it. Mahomes is better. He broke the single season yardage record. He's won back-to-back MVPs in the Super Bowl. I'm not sure really what else to say here. Cosmo goes, Sills, you realistically think that the certain thing is happening? Cosmo, I think a lot of things have to happen. And most importantly, it's not in the hands of Howie. It's in the hands of Denver. Denver has the player. Do they like any of the quarterbacks in the draft? I'm not in love with anybody in this draft. Joseph says that Deshaun Jackson's the best deep threat of all time. He's one of them. You think he's going to Hall of Fame? He'll never go. Tyreek Hill has a shot to go. Jalen Hurts, according to Robert, needs to be an ambassador for women's sports. That's all he talks about now. Jalen's not winning a Super Bowl here, fellas. He's done. I think the way they're coaching him makes it so. Hey, by the way, honest to God, I don't think I've ever said this. I actually like the kid. I think the guy's a good dude. No problem with him. But that has nothing to do with playing football. If I like the guy or not. I would play a guy. I would play Satan on my roster if he helped me win a Super Bowl. I don't give a shit. This is a team sport. This is not bringing people home to marry my daughter or to be my best friend. This is about playing and winning. It has nothing to do with any of that. The first moment you get that out of your brain, that you falling in love with your players and liking them like the way you do, has nothing to do with anything. Jason Kelce is somebody that you give your respect to because he played his ass off every snap. And you revere him because he played his ass off every snap. He enjoyed where he played, and he was successful at what he did, and he was an underdog. He is the face of Philly. Make no mistake about that. That's why you revere him. You like Brandon Graham because Brandon Graham, even though being a first-round pick, first 4 years were a struggle for him, right? There were talks of cutting him. But what did he do? Kept his nose to the grindstone, kept grinding away, kept grinding away, kept grinding away. And you saw the hard work he put in. Unlike you see with this guy Embiid, who sits around watching people in the biggest moments, at the biggest parts of his career, postseason. This guy here, in my opinion, is a loser. And I'm talking Joel Embiid. That's a loser. He's not a winner. That guy doesn't fight for shit. He wants it. He just doesn't fight for anything. Let me give you a great analogy on Jordan. Crow, watch this. I was out in the Bay Area broadcasting on KMBR 68. And I went and watched the Wizards game. I think PJ Carlissimo was the head coach. Latrell Sprewell was on that team and such. It was something like that. And that 70-win Jordan team came in. And I think we were the flagship station then. They weren't very good. They were kind of good. They weren't great. Maybe, yeah, it was PJ. It was Carlissimo. And they had Rodman on that team. By the way, that 98 Bulls team is my favorite sports team of all time because I saw them firsthand. And Crowley, I went down to the old Coliseum over where the Raiders played, the Golden State Warriors played right next door, right? And I got courtside seats and I'm watching Jordan. Or I'm in the press row. And I'm watching Jordan, Rodman, Pippen. I think Luke Longley was on that team. I think Tony Kukoc was on that team too, right? Man, it didn't matter what the score was, what time of the game it was. They went after loose basketballs. They dove after everything, ran into the stands. Once they got up by 20, they hammered you home. And, you know, he's going up and down the court screaming at Carlissimo because he was friends with Latrell. And he's going, why are you hollering? Why are you hollering? He dropped 45 on him. And you're just, why are you hollering? He hated PJ Carlissimo. He hated him. He was saying shit like this. Excuse me, Aunt Betty. Hey, sit the fuck down. PJ, sit down. Shut your mouth. They laid it on them. 48 minutes of holy hell. And I walked away from that going, just some game in April. That guy's playing his backside off. And you're going like, hey, man, that guy's got the will no matter where it is, no matter who he's playing. That guy's closing your ass out. I watched Joel Embiid limp around a court and meander around a court. What a waste of talent. What a waste of talent. Not a chance, man. Guy's a loser. The 96, 97, okay. I'm probably off a year there. I was broadcasting up there in San Francisco for that time. Oh, man. What an absolute privilege to watch that sports team. With the greatest player in NBA history, you're watching that guy dive after loose basket, never miss a game. Had clauses in his, Jordan had a clause in his contract that said love of the game. Like they couldn't sit him. Reinsdorf and Krause tried sitting him. He had a thing in his contract, the love of the game, which means you can't bench him. Owner keep paying the wide receiver position because of gambling, and it says player and fan favorite position now. About every team is maxing receivers. There could be some of that. There could be some of that. Hey, Jonathan, it's a waste of talent. If that guy doesn't win an NBA title, it's a damn shame. Like, get this. Don't ever compare that guy to Wilt and Moses. It's not close. When those guys got into the postseason, they were you know what? You're not beating Moses Malone. They swept the Lakers in the Lakers' heyday in 83. Swept them. Magic and Jabbar. Don't ever tell me that. Philly host said Embiid was better than Chamberlain. Really? Wilt's got 2. One in Philly and one with the Los Angeles Lakers. Win a title. Get out of the first round first. I mean, Twisco's National Basketball Show. No, this is the National Winning Show. Winning! 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 All right. Let's get to victim number 2. Well, Twiz, you know you always have the John Holmes Show. Oh, that's tomorrow, 3:30. The John Holmes Show. Dallas Cowboys. By the way, he's in Detroit for the draft. So, victim number 2. How many people believe that Governor Roseman is going to get this draft right in 2024? I like that. Hey, Fredo, I know it was you that narked me out on losing my job. That's what Sean Desai is saying. Hey, Fredo. Fredo Sirianni. Fredo Sirianni. That's his new name, Fredo. Okay. He sold Brian Johnson out. Hey, don't call me here anymore. Hey, we just need a little help. You know, it's Johnny Ola. We just need a little help here. You know, Mike's being really hard, and Jeffrey Lurie's being really hard on us. We want to make a good deal here. We just need a little help. You told me you wouldn't do anything. I don't want to be in any trouble. Come on, Fredo. Fredo Sirianni, come on, man. You got to help me. Don't call me here anymore. Hey, I love it. That's his new name. Sorry. Fredo Sirianni. Hey, Bacon. Don't call me here. Come on, Fredo. We need some help. Jeffrey Lurie's calling me up to the office. And, you know, we just need a little help. He's being difficult. He's calling Belichick. He's calling some of these other coaches. You know, I mean, you got to help me here. You told me nothing would happen. You got me in all kinds of trouble now. Hey, I'm not helping anymore here. I gave you Brian Johnson and I gave you Sean. Don't call me anymore. Come on, Fredo. We need some help. Fredo Sirianni. How many people believe that your boy's going to get it right? Oh, look at Bob Brown. Very nicely done, young man. What's your definition of getting it right? That's a great conversation. That's great. I like it. What's your definition? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. With 8 picks, I'd like to see you get 3 starters on defense. Is that too much to ask? Is that too much to ask? Getting 3 starters on defense. Hitting 3 of 8. Crowley, I'm not really, I'm giving him 3 of 8. Bob Brown says picks 1, 2, and 3 need to play 60% of the snaps. William goes, I agree, Dan. 3? Can we get 3 starters? Okay. I'm going to take a look at the last 2 drafts. Now, I'm going to say something here that's in his favor. The Eagles have won 25 games in the last 2 years. So when you have that kind of success and you have 25 wins, that's a sign you got some pretty good players on your team, right? Hard to break into the starting lineup. But see, I don't think it's that hard to break into the defensive starting lineup. I think it's hard to break into the offensive starting lineup. So you got to kind of look at it on both sides here. How many people think that you're going to draft a guy in the offense that he's going to step in and start right away? Maybe if you get an OT, would he start and you move him into guard at right? Could he start over Steen? Yes. But once again, then you take an asset away from the defense. I don't know what their problem is on that side of the ball. RTF goes Sills. Rodgers is reinstated. Hey, RTF, that sounds great and all. Before we start dubbing him the next Brian Dawkins, let's see him play first. Let's see him play. I'm not jumping ahead of anything. Hey, I know that Frank and everybody liked him at Indianapolis, and there's a lot of people that liked him. Okay, so let's take a look at the last 2 drafts with Howie Roseman. Let's go 22. Letter grade on Grant Katera. What do you think? I'll tell you what I gave him. I gave him a D+. Grant Katera. What do you think? 198th pick, tight end. Grant Katera. How many picks have there been? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 13 picks. I like the trade proposal you put out yesterday with Gary. Howie and the Yachtsmen will be in Brazil. Cal Katera. Yes. Excuse me. Sorry, Cody. CCF. D+. Non-factor. 198th pick. Okay. I got D+. Kyron Johnson, 181, defensive end. I gave the guy an F. Kyron Johnson, 181, D, F. Draft pick 181. F. No factor at all on your football team. Nothing. 0. F. Right? So far, D+, F. Nakobe Dean, 83rd pick, linebacker, F. I can't wait to see some of these people with Nakobe Dean's. His 2 years in Philly. I got F for Nakobe Dean. What do you have? F. Chuck, just a dude. Steve, incomplete. Seriously, dude. Show a bag. Oh, hey, Christian, show a bag. Fence. Dude, fence straddlers. F. Show a bag. Give him a year, Sills. I've given him 2. I've given the guy 2. Xander's got D. Okay. Cam Jurgens, 51st pick, guard center. Still early? My God. Hey, I wish I had 3-4 years like you guys give these guys. Funny, you take a shit on me for my short stint in the NFL, but you'll give these guys all passes. Why? Because they're Eagles? And think about this. Every one of you guys talk about my career, and you want to give a guy like Nakobe Dean a hall pass where he showed you nothing. B+. I got Cam Jurgens as a B-. So far, D+, F, B-. Jordan Davis, 13th pick, DT, center. B. A D. C. Christian, D. Wow. Okay. First, no, Tyson. That's not how you do it. He's been here 2 years now. First half A, second half F. Well, that's a D. D+, C-. D, C-. I got a C. I think he's average. I don't think he's below average. I don't think he's above average. I got a C. So the 2022 draft, in my eyes, D+, F. Wait. Calcaterra is a D+. Kyron Johnson is an F. Nakobe Dean is an F. Cam Jurgens, I got B-. I think you have to give him some love for being out of position. 13th pick, Jordan Davis, C. So the entire class of 2022 had little to no impact whatsoever on your football team. Again, your football team's good, but these guys had no impact on your football team and won't have an impact in the future of your football team. None of them. Maybe Jurgens will. Jurgens is going to turn out to be the best pick in that draft. And he was the second rounder at 51. 22 class is a C- with a D+, 2 Fs, a C, and a B-. That's a shitty class. Your first round pick is average. Your second round pick's better. And the rest of them are guys who will make no impact on your team. And most likely, all 3 of those guys will be either not on the team now or not on the team after next year. The entire 22 class, if you look at it, you keep telling me Howie Roseman's this brilliant drafter. There's like no impact on that team right there with that draft picks. Anthony, the 21 class is turning out to be a heck of one. Yeah, that's a great call there, Christian. Christian's like, that's a practice squad roster. It is. Get this, Jonathan. Jonathan goes, how he thinks he's brilliant because the media tells him in Philly he's brilliant. You know what's crazy? The Eagles are more in tune, like Angelo said earlier, to be more in tune with the national media, but the local media They treat like shit, and the local media kisses their ass more. It blows my mind. You would think that a market like Philly would be hounding these guys and not lying. And you know what? I feel like I'm watching CNN or MSNBC about telling me how good your 22 draft is. You know, I hear this comment all the time. Hey, Howie's really had a bunch of good drafts the last couple of years. No, he hasn't. Let's move on to 23. Shall we? Ojomo? Pick 249. Incomplete. Tanner McKee. Incomplete. Keely Ringo. Incomplete. Sidney Brown. Incomplete. Tyler Steen. Incomplete. Nolan Smith. A D. Jalen Carter. A B+. You had 7 guys, and 5 of them, you have no idea who they are yet. One guy looks like he's a dud, and Carter looks like he has the potential to be a stud. So in the last 2 years, one player has theoretically, 2, had some type of impact on your team. Cam Jurgens and Jalen Carter. The rest of them have been underachievers, or you still don't know what they are. I mean, these Georgia guys are not panning out. Hey, Chuck, I'm being nice to Smith. I gave him a D. He's a good drafter. So in the last 3 years, he's got 1 draft right. The 21 draft. So he gets 1 out of every 3 right. Is that correct? Let's see how many defensive players he's gotten right. Let's take the offensive guys out of the building here. Let's just do the defense. Are we developing players anywhere, or should they be ready to play right away when they come out of college? Death row, when you're a first rounder, you're not drafting Hall of Famers, and you're not drafting all pros. You're drafting starters. You're hoping that if you draft and take a guy in the first round, he's going to walk in and play him a ton of plays for you. Let's see how many defensive players. How many we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 of the 13 players have been defensive. This is going to go right to the point that I've been trying to make to you fellas. And Barb and others. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 picks. 8 of them have been on defense. Kyron Johnson, bust. Nakobe Dean, bust. Jordan Davis, underachieving, C. Ojomo, incomplete. Keely Ringo, incomplete. Sidney Brown, incomplete. Nolan Smith, D. Jalen Carter, B+. I mean, of all the players that you've drafted, 1 player's had an impact. out of 8 picks in the last 2 years on defense. Jalen Carter. He's a good drafter. And he tells you at those fireside chats all the time, they have good young talent on their team. Now, look, they have a good team, but they don't have world beaters on defense. Yeah, I mean, these are bold-faced lies. I think you know what you hear? I think this player, Sidney Brown's going to be good. I think only reason Smith is worse than Dean is because Dean was a third-round pick. You cannot miss on first-round picks. If Smith doesn't show anything by halfway this year, he's done. Anthony, it's a great take. You're right. Third-round pick, it's a high pick. But a first pick, 31st or 30th pick, come on, dog. No way. Milton Williams has not been drafted in the last 2 drafts, dude. That's not true. Made up. Okay? Made up. Was Carter drafted 9? He was. Actually, same as Jerome. I hope Fangio, a lot of control on draft day. How he's drafting is an abomination. On defense, it's been my point. Corey goes, give me a break. Like, you're going to cut Nolan Smith after 2 seasons? I'll cut him after this year, yeah. Or trade him. Why would you have him on the team if you know he's not going to make an impact and never live up to that pick? What are you keeping him for? So you don't look bad to the media and your boss? Why do you keep draft picks that are bad? Because you're trying to validate your front office. No coach in his right mind keeps bad players unless they're told to. All good, Steve. Hey, now you're hearing things that they want to trade up to try to get an offensive tackle for Lane Johnson's replacement. Dressing the offense. I mean, Kyle, can you do me a favor? What was the name of that wide receiver that New England drafted from Arizona State a couple years ago? And they realized that he stunk in his second year and they traded him. I thought it was a horrible draft pick. He couldn't get separation at Arizona State. Herm Edwards even told me, man, I was shocked he went in first round. Herm thought he was a 4th rounder. And the Patriots drafted him because why? He showed up at the combines and he was a workout warrior. Blew everyone away. What was that kid's name that the Patriots drafted in the first round a couple of years ago? And then he traded him the second year. That's right, N'Keal Harry. He was freaking terrible. The Patriots knew immediately. What did they do? Second year, they traded him. That's the greatest thing that organization did. They moved off of mistakes as quick as possible. They said, no, thank you. You can't keep players around like Jalen Reagor for 2-3 years to try to validate yourself. And when you trade them, you trade the 22nd pick for the 7th rounder. You look even dumber. I mean, you look dumb. I mean, the Pats went, no. Brady even goes, this guy can't get off the line of scrimmage. Steele's like, can I get out of my head around the fact that in a city like Philly, defense is treated like a spare tire? Bob, coordinator-wise too. Now, Vic's got a great resume. Mike Momola, another combine warrior. Absolutely. Nolan Smith is not Jalen Reagor. He sure looks like it. He's tiny, he's not physical, and he's not strong enough. He looks like a 4x100 relay guy. He's a schwimp. I told you, Dean was a schwimp. They drafted a guy with shoulder history injuries at Georgia and Dean, and they thought it would get better in the NFL and the NFC East. Like, I always like that thing when people are talking about, what was that kid's name that played at USC that got drafted by the Jets, the quarterback? He had high turnovers when he was a quarterback of USC. And everyone goes, hey, this guy here is a good player. And you're like, this guy turned the ball over in a shitty Pac-12 that plays no defense. You think that's going to get better in the AFC East versus the Bills and the Patriots? This guy's always been a turnover machine. Yeah, Sam Darnold was a turnover machine at Southern Cal. All of a sudden, you think that's going to get better playing against the Bills and the Patriots? He's a turnover machine and doesn't win games. Same with Josh Rosen. Are coaches involved in that evaluation of Harry, or coaches didn't help with Rager, etc.? Jalen, it's a great understanding of what the failures were at the end of Belichick's regime. Here's what happens. The head coaches and the assistant coaches are not going to go out and they're not going to go around to Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, Ann Arbor, Michigan, Oxford, Mississippi, Gainesville, Florida, Baton Rouge. They're not going to do that. You send your area scouts first. Area scouts put a book together. The area scout then sends it to the director of college personnel, whoever that is. The director of college personnel, along with Bledsoe, has a sheet. They compare it, and they look at the top 50 to 100 prospects. And what you do is you start doing your homework off that 100. This, like, you're already doing the 2025 draft. If you probably week after this, you're probably starting that process. And they'll look at those guys, and your college scouts and your director of college scouting are looking at these guys. And what they do is they try to pare it down to the top 50. And you look at the top 50 players. You get game film on them. Then what you do is you put a reel together and you go to the position coaches. First, you go to the head coach. Well, I don't know how that works there. But you go to the general manager, and the general manager looks at the player. Then the general manager goes to the player, and you know the kind of area of need you are, and you'll sit down and you'll start watching game film of positions that you need. Corner, linebacker, offensive tackle, running back, some depth positions. And then what you try to do is pare it down to the top 10. And you're not looking at names of guys. You're looking at talent, and you're looking at what a guy in his skill set is. Then before you know it, you start looking at, well, here's this kid from TCU. Here's a kid from North Dakota State, whomever. And you start writing down, and the position coaches then come in, and then they start looking at the top 10 guys that you've brought to them. Then they start evaluating, can he fit in my scheme? Can he be a chameleon? Can I put him in a 3 or a 4 technique? Can he play in the 34-43? Can he play in nickel? Can I move him over from a slot to a strong side corner? Can I flip him on a weak to Sam linebacker? And you're looking today in the NFL, in my opinion, you're looking for versatility. I'd rather take a more versatile player today in the draft than I would a skill set guy who does one thing in college. Guy's an inside linebacker. I want him to be able to do more than that. I want him to be able to rush the passer. I want him to be able to cover linebackers. And he doesn't have to be great at all of them, but he has to have a skill set to do all of it. I think that's what made Ryan Shazier a real steal from Ohio State, was that he could do all those things. He was a nightmare for Gronk. I mean, when that guy left that defense, Steeler defense was never the same interior-wise. It was just never the same. So when you're evaluating these guys, the position coaches start to come in and go, and then the general manager will come in with the head coach and the director of college personnel, and they'll go, we like this guy. You bring him in for a visit, or you see him at the combines. You watch him work out. And to me, still the game tape is the matter that matters the more. Along with, see, it goes like this for me: the game tape, the interview, and the workout. It doesn't go. In my opinion, the analytics guys in Philly go workout, interview, tape. So what? He ran a great 40. Jerry Rice ran a 4.8. Howie Roseman would not draft Jerry Rice, but he would draft Jalen Reagor. That shows you how analytics guys are not looking at football guys. Jerry Rice, legitimately, Google it, he ran a 4.8 40. Howie would never draft him. He would take Jalen Reagor today over him. Not hindsight being what it is. He would totally not draft Jerry Rice. But for some of you who watched Jerry Rice play, did you ever see Jerry Rice caught from behind by anybody in a game? Dan, you should join the NFL Scout then because you're great with player evaluation. I could have had that job numerous times, especially with the Raiders. Al was trying to hire me to do that, along with Bruce Allen. There in Cleveland, I could have did it. And down with Dave Wannstedt with the Dolphins, they wanted me to do that. Because I had a great eye at Miami for the players that I thought were going to be great interior defensive tackles and ends. And some linebackers and some corners. Remember Bubba McDowell? Played with the Oilers. And I did a lot of recruiting on him. We did recruiting on Ed Reed. He was a Louisiana kid. I spoke to him on the phone. I spoke to Vince Wilfork. Vince wanted to talk to me, and I gave him my insight on what I thought. You pair that down. You pair that down, and your position coach is like Clint Hurt. Here's why a guy like why do you guys think that Jim Harbaugh has an advantage over the rest of the coaches and the personnel offices in the NFL right now? Why do you think? Why do you think that Jim Harbaugh has the advantage? Sills, who's the greatest linebacker you've ever seen? It's Ray Lewis. 255, 4'4", strong as hell, competitor, but nasty tenacity, nasty demeanor. The guy in Chicago was also good, Buddy's guy. Those two guys are probably the best interior linebackers I've ever seen. Just fantastic. Hey, Peter, how about this one with Ray Lewis? Do you know Ray Lewis's freshman year, he was not offered a scholarship until the very last week. And somebody had pulled out of a scholarship. Ray Lewis wasn't even in the Miami Hurricane media guide his first year because they gave him a scholarship 2 days before he had to report to camp. Nobody was really offering him anything. Miami saw him, and we had great talent evaluators down at that school. That's why we produce Hall of Famers. Nobody recruited him. Nobody. Miami gave him a scholarship. Rest is history. He played on the same defense with Sean Taylor and Ed Reed at the University of Miami. Those guys, when you say Sean Taylor, Ed Reed, and Ray Lewis, you don't have to go on. Their legendary career. Ed Reed was dominant in college and dominant in the NFL. one of the greatest special teams players of all time and one of the smartest players I've ever been around. What a savant. What a savant. Urlacher was a great player. Was an absolutely great player. Hey, if I'm not mistaken, you want to hear something, Steve? If I'm not mistaken, and I could be, I think Dave Wannstedt drafted him. I think Dave drafted him, my coach. I just want Jared Verse and Cooper Sills. That would help the defense immense. I think Verse is going to be higher up in the draft. FSU's done a nice job with edge rushers. I'm going all the way back to Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat is a first-round pick, but because of his high school injuries, that's what dropped him into fourth, and teams got scared. I think the Eagles are getting a little scared of that too, especially with the high volume of plays. I think they're starting to think Josh, he's an old 28. Does that make sense? An old 26 because of those knees. And I think that's what they're looking at with him. It's because Jim Harbaugh was in college recently. Khalid, spot on. You see, Khalid, the Chargers are going to get better players, second, third, and fourth, and fifth, and sixth, and seventh rounds than any team in the draft. You know why? He's recruited every one of these kids that are going to be available for the draft. Remember what Harbaugh was doing? It's funny. Jim Harbaugh was setting up his pro career, and nobody really realized it except for Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy was telling me, remember he would have those camps in Alabama? He would have camps in Florida. He would have camps in Ohio. He would have camps in California. Then the NCAA came in and they nullified those. What was he doing? He was IDing future players that were maybe not going to go to his place, but eventually go to other colleges. And once they became eligible for the draft, he would know, well, linebacker's not 6'3", he's 6'2". So he's a little undersized at 220 pounds, but he's a hell of a ball player. I mean, do you understand? You see this right here? This is the difference between first and second round or first and seventh round. Could be an inch and a half. If you're an inch and a half taller at DT or OT, that's the difference between $4 million. Once you get into the league, that doesn't matter. But your metrics matter in draft and where you're drafted. I mean, if you're like, here, can someone tell me where Aaron Donald was drafted? What pick was he? I know he was a first rounder out of Pitt. And Dave Wannstedt, by the way, recruited him to Pitt. Okay? He was the 14th pick. Thank you, Anthony. Okay. Greatest defensive player, a defensive tackle in NFL history when it comes to pass rushing. Why do you think he wasn't a top 10 pick? Because he was 6 feet, 265 when he came out of Pitt. And people had size issues with him. If he was 6'4", 275 pounds, he'd have been the second pick in the draft. But did it matter in the end? Think about that. He's 6 feet, 270. You have two defensive tackles that are 315 to 340 pounds and 6'4", 6'5". And this guy's 6 feet, 270. 265 when he came out of Pitt. And the Rams took him at 14. That's a steal because you drafted a you drafted a generational player at 14 and he wasn't a top 10 pick. Guess what, Kyle? Kyle goes John Randall. Hey, Kyle, what round was John Randall drafted? Do you know? Look up where John Randall was drafted. Hall of Famer. Beat out Warren. He was undrafted because he was 6 feet. He's undrafted. And he's a Hall of Famer and he's on the starting 100th anniversary defensive tackle football team. He's a UDFA. Why? Because of height on draft day. Had nothing to do with ability. That's why when people are looking at defensive players, that's why when you guys all go like this to me, and you go, well, Howie's going to draft a kid from Alabama. Okay, does he fit in Nick's scheme? Who'd he play? The kid Arnold, in my opinion, is probably a safe pick. Why? Who did he play against in practice every day? Shit. Call Saban up. What was he like? Nick's seen them all. He's seen the Patrick Surtains over at LSU. He knows what it looks like. He coached DBs at Cleveland with Belichick. He knows what's up. Ask him. You know what I found out about Nick Saban? This is how you know a player. Hey, what was that guy's name? Trent Richardson, that was a running back at Alabama? Trent Richardson. You guys remember this guy? I think, if I'm not mistaken, was it the Colts or Cleveland that drafted him? And it's funny how Nick talks shit on his guys that he doesn't think will make it in the next level. They'll call him up and go, what do you think of Devontae Smith? Hard worker, great leader, absolutely a guy you want in your huddle, makes everybody around you better. Just absolutely a guy, you know what Nick said about him? Xander, you'll like this. And Nick goes, don't be afraid of his size. He's like a Gumby doll. He's stronger than you think. I didn't buy it. This is what he said about Trent Richardson. Tough, hard worker in the weight room. Struggles a little bit with the playbook, but once he gets it, he'll practice it until he gets it right. Teammates loved him. But he will drift on you. He will lose focus. He will meander in his assignments. Heck of a kid, and I love him. Not really a ringing endorsement. He told everyone not to draft him in the first round right there with that comment. And for a guy that has seen some of the greatest college football talent in the country, you take that at word. I mean, guy like that, you're going to look at Nick Saban and go, you see, now look at me. When it comes to Urban Liar, I'm not going to take the word of Urban Liar at the quarterback position. Why? You had Joe Burrow along with Ryan Day in the building, and you told him to take a hike because you had Dwayne Haskins and you were bringing in Justin Fields and you thought they were better. You had the guy, but you didn't see the guy. You had him. He was at Ohio State. They told him to transfer. As soon as he got into the transfer position to go, Ed Ogeron jumped right on him. Hey, I want you to come here. I'm going to give you the keys to my program. One of the greatest talent evaluators of all time. Who do you think built Southern Cal for Pete Carroll? Was Ed Ogeron. Where did Ed Ogeron get in, chop his teeth, and cut his teeth? At the University of Miami. He's the one that cut his teeth at Miami also. He was a talent evaluator at UM. He went to USC and built those Carroll teams. Scoured the country looking for kids. Looking for the right kids. He brought Sean Taylor in. He brought Ray Lewis in. He brought Warren Sapp in. All them guys at UM, he brought in. Jonathan Vilma, Jonathan Beeson, every one of them guys. Sills, why is Arnold dropping in the draft? Kyle, it's really a great question. And it's hard in this draft. Here's why. They're not dropping. There's two things that are happening in this draft that are pushing the good players down. It's the O-line and the shitty quarterbacks. Think about this. Let me show you something here. See, this is how I look at the draft. You get it? Totally Pauline projects that the Eagles trading to 16 overall and are targeting. I think they are targeting the kid Mitchell too. I think it's a risk. Because guess why? Didn't play against very good competition. He had a really good Senior Bowl. Had a good Senior Bowl. I talked to the folks down there. Really good Senior Bowl. Played against not very good players at Toledo. Mid-America Conference. Had a great combine. And Sanders like, yeah, a Toledo cornerback. Yeah, that's going to work out well. Like the last Mid-America quarterback that really was NFL great, wasn't it Roethlisberger? Go watch the tape. Against who? Eastern Kentucky? Miami of Ohio? Ohio University? So you're killing guys at Ohio University, Eastern Kentucky, Western Michigan, and Ohio. If he was so good, why didn't he play in the Southeastern Conference? Or the Big Ten? He's right there in Big Ten country. There's my question. How many non-Power 5 corners do you see in the league today? These guys like that workout and those analytic guys. Who's the best cornerback in this draft? Well, let me ask you something here. It's a great question. Think about it. You practice against the best players in the United States of America. And this goes to what I tell my daughter. My daughter goes, I didn't make a play against Virginia on Sunday. I missed a big tackle. And I go like this. Hey, I missed a tackle in the national title game. DJ Dozier got drafted in the first round. He's good too. You miss tackles versus Ohio University or Western Michigan? We're talking something different here. Players at big conferences, you may not have the greatest grade against, say you played Michigan versus Ohio State, and you played really good in it, but there were plays that they beat you on. Well, welcome to the NFL. I mean, welcome to the NFL. I'll die for the... You brought yourself up. Yeah, asshole, because I was talking to my kid about not getting down on herself. And other players are good too. I told her I failed at a play, not that I succeeded. I come from a place of failure when I'm talking to you, not blowing myself. Learn to listen. You might be a better Eagle fan. The only player I'm giving the pass to is Chris Johnson. He played at Eastern Carolina. He was electric. He was good. But you know why he got drafted? RTF, she plays rugby. Because he ran a 4.3. I already did my mock draft. That's a good idea. I may go back over that again. And Quentin Mitchell to get up to 16. I don't know if he's going to be there. I don't think he'll be there at 16. Here's the still. So if I'm the Eagles, I'm drafting one of those two cornerbacks from Alabama. See, look at how many here. Let's take a look at how many players are going to be from a non-Power 5 in the top 32. I'll take my first. I got 2 mock drafts. I didn't know I got my third one over here. So let's do the recent one. Shall we? Let's see how many non-Power 5 teams or players will be in this year's draft. Okay, USC, LSU, North Carolina, Ohio State, Michigan, LSU, Notre Dame, FSU, Washington, Oregon State, Bama, Penn State, Georgia, Oregon, Toledo, Georgia, Illinois, LSU, Duke, Bama, Clemson, Oklahoma, Iowa, UCLA, Texas, West Virginia, Washington, Bama, Arizona. So one kid from a non-Power 5, the Eagles are going to draft him. That's got Jalen Reagor all over it. Are you not trying to lower the odds of failure? Let's say that kid Mitchell turns out to be a really good ball player. Aren't my odds with Arnold, even Cooper DeJean, aren't my odds in better places with players from the Southeastern Conference, from Power 5, than some dude from Mid-America? Even the kid Nate Wiggins from Clemson. Those are gamble picks. And believe me, hey, somebody help me. Who's Darryl Green? Darryl Green, he got drafted what was it, Texas A&I? Right? He got drafted out of Texas A&I. Jerry Rice got drafted out of Mississippi Valley State. Sure. You find those guys. You better be good talent evaluators. And the Eagles have not been good talent evaluators at what position? Corner. And wide out. And you really trust them to get it right? Where? Devontae Smith. Congratulations. It took you 100 wide receivers to get there. Look at how many crappy corners. Randy Moss was different. Marshall. You see, Kyle, the history with Marshall or with Moss was this. First, was offered a scholarship to Notre Dame. They threw him out because of marijuana. Then he was offered a scholarship and given one to Florida State. Marijuana issues again. Then he went to Marshall. So you have to remember the issues that he had. He was offered Notre Dame, Florida State, and he landed on Marshall. What you had to overcome with Randy Moss was decision-making. Would his decision-making, at the end of the day, get in the way of a career? Sometimes it did. Randy Moss never lived up to what Randy Moss should have been. Better than Rice. And by the way, Chuck goes, Terry Bradshaw, Louisiana Tech. Okay. Chuck, name me a quarterback in the last 20 years that was taken from a non-Power 5 that turned out to be a star in the NFL. It's a different league today. Because of the transfer portal, it's making it even harder now. If you're a good player at a smaller school, you transfer to bigger schools. You don't stay where you are. You'll never be seen. Why would I stay at Toledo if I'm one of the top 6 picks? Loyalty? Get this. Not even Travis Hunter stayed at Jacksonville State. He went with Dion to Colorado, to a Power 5. By the way, there's your best corner in the draft. Unfortunately, it's not till next year. That kid's the best player in the country this year and next year. And it's really not close. I have not seen a kid with that kind of skill set on both wide receiver and defensive back, and his ability to jump in the air and not lose his equilibrium the way he can go after passes as a defensive guy and also the conditioning that he has to play wide out. That guy is a throwback to Bo Jackson and to Deion Sanders and how good of an athlete he is. That's Deion stuff. He's really special. There's nobody I've seen in the last 35, 40 years that compares to Deion when it comes out in the draft. Maybe Sean Taylor at corner or safety. He's just special. They're moving him into the slot. This kid can play everywhere. He's so good, man. Ugh. I don't want a quarterback in the first round. I really don't. I mean, I think the corners are good, but I don't know if there's a game. Like, there's no Patrick Surtain in this draft. Seals, did you play against Rod Woodson in college? Yeah, when he was at Purdue. We beat the brakes off him. But you knew he was good. I think Jeff George was his quarterback. I think he was a high hurdler too. Like, he was a special high. He was another great athlete. That's a great pull, Kyle. Yeah, we beat the brakes off of them. Kevin Sumlin, I think, was on that team that came down to the Orange Bowl, and we just pounded them. Okay? We just pounded them. But he was a really great athlete. Hunter will be a top 3 pick next year. You know, it's funny. Anthony says he'll be a top 3 pick next year and be the best. Isn't that funny? A top 3 pick, and he's the best player in the draft, but they'll draft a quarterback. They'll draft Shedeur Sanders over him, and he's not better. I don't follow that thinking. I'm getting the best player I can get. And if I can upgrade my position, this is people that have control of their draft. Now, get this. Here's why coaches in Philly don't have a lot to say here. If you had a chance to draft a game-changing player like Brock Bowers, say it's 16, he's there, and you take the third best or the second best corner, why? And you upgrade your tight end position, and you move off the money, and you get him on a rookie deal for the next 4 years, plus fifth-year option. I mean, I don't subscribe to that. I would take Bowers at 16. Here, let's take a look at it. Say Mitchell goes 8th, like I got him projected to go. Where do I got him? This is my 3rd. Okay. Actually, I got Mitchell at 17. Funny. Xander says, what'd you say, Xander? They're saying that the Eagles want to move up to 16. I got Mitchell, cornerback, going to Jacksonville at 17. So I see him around that 16, 17 mark. So do the Eagles. Got him right here, 17. Mitchell, 17. So the Eagles want to get up to 16 and potentially get him. That's kind of where I see him. Would he be the first corner off the board? He would be. Arnold is projected at, and by the way, I've got Arnold going to the Eagles at 22 in my 3rd and final mock draft. So they are looking at it like I am. I'm not taking the second best corner. If I'm going to get a corner, I'm going to take the first best and move up to Jacksonville or Seattle. So you're going to make a move with Seattle? What are you going to surrender? Seattle's at 16. So you're going to make a trade with Seattle? You're going to have to give up a one of those second round picks to move up there, or a pick next year to move up there. You move up to 6, and Seattle moves down to 22. As a matter of fact, I got Bowers at 15 there. Bowers at 15 to Indianapolis. How about this, Yale? If Indianapolis gets Bowers, you have Jonathan Taylor, Anthony Richardson, and Brock Bowers, and Michael Pittman at wide receiver in Indianapolis for Shane Steichen and that RPO offense. I'll tell you what, I'd be very interested to see how that plays out. That would look really great. Tom Telesco, I'm working on trying to get him after the draft, he said. He came on, I think last year and the year before. He was the general manager of the Chargers. And Shane's putting, I'll tell you this, man. Shane Steichen was the head football coach of the Philadelphia Eagles in that offense. I saw a 51% quarterback. Hey, I'm kind of wrong on Anthony Richardson, even though he got hurt. And here's the problem. Okay? Here's the problem that Shane is going to face. Look at what happened with Shane. Shane got Jalen hurt. Shane got Richardson hurt. He's got to change his coaching a little bit. You got to protect that guy more. Okay? That RPO, if that's going to be part of your offense, okay. The last two quarterbacks that you've had in your control, you got both those guys hurt. Jalen got hurt in the Chicago game when you were the coordinator last year in 22. And Richardson lasted how many games? 4, 5? And get this, though. Shane made Gardner Minshew a Pro Bowler. He knows what he's doing. But you've got to protect your guys more. You got that guy, Jonathan Taylor, run his ass. He's one of the top 3 backs in the league. You got a great O-line. You got the second best offensive guard next to Dickerson, and you pay him $20 million. Run the fucking ball. Run the ball. Question. Does it matter where you play, whether it's Toledo or Iowa, if you're a baller, you'll do just fine? Denny, I think it does matter in today's NFL or today's college. I don't think it mattered years ago. I think it does today. Why? Because of the transfer portal. Shitty players stay at shitty programs. Good players at shitty programs transfer to better opportunities because why? Nil. I get a percentage of the gate at Alabama if I'm a better player. I make $400 a month in Toledo. If I'm a member of a Southeastern Conference team, I make $15,000 a year just in attendance bonuses alone. Why would I stay at a shittier program? Not be seen only on Tuesdays and Wednesdays in Mid-America Conference games and seen on national television games where everybody in the United States gets to see my brand, me playing against the best competition in the country, and what's more important, the best coaching in the country are in the SEC. In today's college, nil. There's a reason coaches go from the college ranks or pro ranks to the college ranks to take coordinator jobs because they're going to elevate themselves back into the NFL. Years ago, I don't think that mattered too much if you were at Toledo. Today, who do you play against? If you're a baller, how do you know he's a baller? Carson Wentz is a great example of this. Carson Wentz burst onto the scene in the NFL, right? First 4 or 5 years, pretty good. Once they figured his ass out, they banged him up a little bit. He didn't get hit at North Dakota State. By who? Those beer-drinking white guys in that league? Same with Trey Lance. Those passing lanes were wide open, like a 9-on-7 game. But once they figured him out, hit him, close the gaps, put pressure on him. Wentz fell apart. They started figuring him out. Get this. Is this not fair? Is this not fair when I say this about Wentz? Once they started hitting him and injuring him, he was never the same, right? Well, he wasn't hit like that in college. It took its toll on him mentally. And he was too fragile mentally to overcome it. Here, that's a great Josh Allen, small school. That's before the transfer portal. Jordan Love and Josh Allen are not playing at Utah State and Wyoming any longer. They would have transferred to a Big Ten team like every other kid does now. Or they would have went to a Southeastern Conference team. You think Jaden Daniels is staying in the Pac-12? What did he do? Just like the head coach did. The head coach went from Notre Dame, get this, Notre Dame has downsized their schedule. They play Marshall and Miami of Ohio and some of these other shitty programs now. Notre Dame never played those schools. They would never play a 1AA school, ever play one of them. They play Marshall now and get beat by them. T.O. went to a small school too. Yeah, when? 20 years ago? I told you, the transfer portal has changed everything. So has NIL. If I played at UConn, my home state school, and I made all conference, I'm not staying there. I'm going to BC, Penn State, Pitt, Maryland, one of them programs. Somewhere around hey, believe me, I mean, after I got thrown out of Maryland, I had Oklahoma, LSU, Miami. Why do you think I chose? And Minnesota. I did take a recruiting trip to Minnesota because Lou Holtz was the head coach. It's the only reason. I mean, plus Minnesota had a great history, and I liked that history. I just didn't like where they played. They played in that old Hubert Humphrey Dome, and I was like, nah, I think football should be played inside. I think it should be played outside. It was a great recruiting trip. It was a fantastic time I had. Imagine Allen on a high-powered SEC team. Hey, Anthony, can you imagine if you put Josh Allen at Texas A&M with Mike Evans? He had Johnny Manziel. Could you imagine him with Mike Evans? Hey, I got off the airplane on my recruiting trip when I went to Minnesota. I froze my baguettes off, and then I went back when I played the Vikings. And then up there at Green Bay, too. Oh, I've never been colder. And I lived in Connecticut and played high school football in Connecticut in the snow. Hey, Denny, I actually had a really good trip up there. I think the coach's name was Joe Salem. And then Lou came in and the recruiting, and they recruited me heavily. I almost went there. I think Carl Mecklenburg took me out on my recruiting trip. College football is different today. So they want to move up to get this kid Mitchell. Get this, he must have had a really good interview, and he must have looked great at the combines because his game tape must look sensational. But I, again, would look at that and go, okay, I would look at his game tape a lot, but then I would look at his practices at the Senior Bowl. What did he do against the top flight kids at the Senior Bowl in practice and in the game? Not so much the game. I wanted to see him line up against some of the top, like Neighbors, Thomas, Odunza, those guys. I want to see how he lined up against those guys. Did he jam them? Does he have technique? Does he understand not getting beat plus 25? Can he play in banjo? Can he play cover 2? I mean, all that. I want to know what, I mean, the problem that the Eagles have with their with their secondary, they can't play man. They're zone cover corners. Actually, we never asked Sills, when were you being recruited? What schools did you visit? Dan, would you have passed on Syracuse for the same reason, Carrier Dome? Chuck, I took a non-official trip to Syracuse. A guy by the name of Norm Gerber, he recruited me. I can't remember the name of the coach. And I'll tell you the funniest story. That guy, Norm Gerber, was recruiting me. He stood in my driveway, must have been 20 nights in a row. He came to me and he goes like this, Chuck, you'll like this. He goes, we'll give you, I played linebacker, defensive end. I had 25 sacks my senior year. I think I had 28 my junior year. You know who broke my record in Connecticut for the most sacks? Dwight Freeney. Dwight Freeney broke it. I mean, I had like 50-something sacks in high school. I killed everything I hit. But get this. Norm Gerber goes like this. He's recruiting. I almost had the guy's name. Was the head coach at McPherson. McPherson was the head coach. McPherson. And McPherson. And he goes like this, we'll give you number 44. I'm like, man, it's Jim Brown's number. You ain't giving me number 44. And the guy goes, we'll give you 44. And I go, okay, how many people did you offer number 44 to? And Norm Gerber goes, all right, 20. I went, all right, I'll take a recruiting trip up there. Because he was honest at least. I go, you ain't giving me Jim Brown's number, man. And he goes, oh, yeah. I go, how many people do you offer that to? About 20. All right. I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, he coached for the Patriots. That's right. McPherson coached for the Patriots, too. That's right. He did. Well, Freeney's a good company to be. Hey. Yeah, he was a 3-time All-Stater. He was really a great player. He really was, man. Dan, how much did you make in college? Sophomore year, junior year, senior year. What year do you want? I drove a Corvette in college. It was my first vehicle. What do you want me to say? I got it for free? I did. That's my big goof with Eric Dickerson. Eric Dickerson got a Trans Am. I got a Vet. Red. I've posted the picture. That's what they did to Ernie Davis. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Floyd Little is a Connecticut guy, and he wore 44 too. I think he went to Hill House. It's a great football program in Connecticut. He went to Hill House. Floyd Little, Hall of Famer too, went to Denver Broncos. And I told him the story about Norm Gerber because he was helping recruit me because he's a Connecticut guy. And Floyd Little came to my house. And, hey, we'd like to have you come up to Syracuse. And I go, hey, man, this guy was going to tell me he's going to give you 44. And I go, Floyd. He goes, he ain't giving me 44. I said, I know he ain't giving me 44, man. He goes, Syracuse is a great place, though, man. And I go, it is. I went up to Boston College, too. I took a look around there at Boston College. What was that guy's name? Jack Brickman? Something like that. Brennan? Something. I went up there, and the problem that I had, hey, Bard, the problem that I had, I went to Catholic schools, right? So I get up to, I took a trip to Notre Dame. And I'm like, man. And I think I've told Barb the story. I go like this at the people at Notre Dame, and it was Jerry Fouts. And I go, where are the chicks? Oh, they're at St. Mary's across the street. No. Where are the women? They're across the street at St. Mary's. I go, wait a minute. So you don't have chicks at Notre Dame? I go, no, they're across the street of Notre Dame, or from Notre Dame. I go, no chicks, no sills. My nuns got a hold of that. When I got back to school, man, it was holy hell. You told the people at Notre Dame, no chicks, no Dan. I think I said that. Hey, it wasn't. Hey, Barb, I'm not going in a public shower with some dude named Chip. And, I'm not, that's not going to work for me, I'm not going to bars with dudes. Sills don't go to bars with dudes. It's not going to work. Dan, my brother played against Notre Dame. He said they were the dirtiest team they ever played. That's why we beat the piss out of them. Hey, Wayne, let me add this up, Wayne. Hold on for a second, Wayne. Let me see. 57-3, 40-0. Let's see. We beat Notre Dame in my 2 games against them, 97-3. We almost had a C note in 2 games on them. We gave Notre Dame their biggest ass beating in the history of their program. We beat them by 50 points. I think we beat them. Yeah, I think we beat them by 54 points or something. It's terrible. Steve Berline was the quarterback. I think Mike Golick was on that team. Mark Bavaro was on that team. We just assassinated that team. Whew. Wow. Beat them to smithereens. And then we got killed in the media because we ran the score up on them. Well, everyone forgot Notre Dame used to put 77 on Miami, 77-3, 77-0. Everyone forgets Eric Parsegian getting his joys out on Miami football. Well, we took it out on them. Beat the doorknobs off them. So after you beat ND by 50, did you guys go to bars with dudes? Mm-mm. Big Sills did not go to bars with dudes. I had a girlfriend, French track athlete, Lori LaRue. Wow. About 5'9". My aunt liked her too. Almost married the chick. Lou Holtz versus Jimmy was the game of the year a couple times. Yeah, the one they stole. All right. I'm going to take a timeout here. I got to take a timeout. I haven't taken – I think I have to do another one too. Do a timeout here. We're going to reset. We're a couple days out from the draft. We'll reset. We'll talk about the upcoming draft. And it's being reported now that Howie wants to move up to 16. What does that mean in the draft? What does that mean for the current defensive coordinator? Do they go offense or defense? We'll take a look at the draft, especially some of the players that are in that position. Hit the like button. We'll do it next.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and certainly the easiest when you're watching the NBA. And the NBA playoffs are almost here, and you can win money making picks. What are you waiting for? Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com and use the promo code WIN. An Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN. Get ready for the NBA and get ready for the NBA playoffs. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Philadelphia fans, we're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Mike Little was a union construction worker who was badly injured when he suffered a horrific fall because of someone's negligence. His life would change forever.
It was just a real downward spiral with everything. Everything you do, and you're sitting home by yourself all day. You can't go out because you can't drive, you can't walk well. It was just a horrible situation.
Call Brian Fritz at the Fritz and Beyond Cooley Law Firm at 215-548-2222.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Some interesting stuff is starting to take shape for this draft coming up. Please hit the like button. Big Sills here. Just a couple minutes ago, the Denver Broncos have picked up the fifth-year option on Patrick Surtain. Something I thought they would do. So follow me here. Surtain the next 2 years is under the same structure as Devontae Smith. Okay? 6.4, 14.5. The next 2 years. You wouldn't have to pay the guy until the third year. Fifth-year option is 14.5. I mean, you got 2 years of pretty much a rookie contract for the top corner in the league. Now, again, this is all under the premise that Denver wants to move. Okay? And what would Philly have to do to move up? Now, again, do you do a three-team move? Do you move up to 16 where Seattle is from 22? You send the 22nd pick and you send the 53rd pick to Denver. The 16th pick and the 53rd pick to Denver. Denver parlays that, and they move up to take their quarterback if they so see one they like. And you get Surtain. You still have a second-round pick. And you have the best cover corner. You take a linebacker and Percy Wilson, and you have Surtain on your defense, change the entire landscape of your defense and the entire outlook of it. And got to remember something. Fangio drafted him for a reason. Do you understand the kind of quarterback he could be back? He could be like Jalen Hurts for you in the secondary, and he could be telling everybody exactly what Vic Fangio wants to accomplish. Control and contain. Again, here's what I would do. Being reported they want to move up. Okay, great. And this is all under the premise that Denver likes a particular quarterback. This is not. Now, I think this is plan maybe C. But you want to try to get this one. This is plan C. But I'm going to start with plan C. Go like this. Move up. move up to 16 from 22. You send the 16th pick and the 53rd pick to Denver for Patrick Surtain. The Broncos parlay the 16th pick they got from Philly and their current first-round pick, which is 12, move up to 3, grab their quarterback, Drake May. If they like him. New England gets their picks. Denver gets their quarterback. Philadelphia gets their cornerback. Then with the 50th pick, you draft your linebacker. So you would have Surtain, a fresh new linebacker toy for Vic. You have addressed needs, and you cover the cornerback position with the way that Howie has covered the cornerback position. How? Not in the draft. His last 8 drafts, he hasn't drafted corner but once. In the last 8 years, he hasn't drafted one. They do it unconventionally in free agency. Doesn't this go down the line of what this guy does? I mean, I'm going by his nature. Joe goes, it seems like a lot of moving parts. Well, I think hey, Joe, to get a guy like Patrick Surtain, I think you have to have a lot of creative moving parts. I don't think you just go straight up and go, here's A.J. Brown for Surtain, because then you're like this. I don't know, man. I mean, do I really want to give up that for that? I mean, look, I need Surtain more than I need Brown, but I don't want to get rid of Brown. He's in the middle of his career. No brainer. Go get him, Howie. That you need another dance partner, in my opinion, to make that happen. And Yale, check this out. So I move up to 16 to get the kid Mitchell from Toledo. That's a crapshoot. When I could get the surefire corner, that's an all-pro corner. For a draft pick where I'm going to go like this, I've not been very good in the draft. I've pointed out to you in the last 2 drafts that they have stunk on defense. And they traditionally do things unconventional at corner. I'm not saying anything that he doesn't do. John Elway's not the GM any longer. I forget the guy's name. It's new management. I forget the guy's name up there now. I don't think it's Joe Ellis. It might be. I don't remember the guy's name up there. It could be still Joe Ellis. That's the GM in Denver still. It might be Joe. I agree with trading for Surtain or picking the player. That's it, George Patton. George Patton. Thank you, guys. George Patton is general manager up there. How would you feel if we draft a running back and later picks? All good. I'd like to take a running back potentially with one of those 5th round picks. I don't think they're going to keep all those 5s. They may take 2 of those 5s and try to get in the 3rd round with them. Like 5th round picks, they're not bad. I mean, those are decent picks, but I would take 2 of them, maybe even one of them, maybe a 5th and a 6th, and try to get into the 3rd. I want to get into that 3rd round. The most productive round in pro football history is the 3rd, and they don't have a 3rd. I'd like to get in there and maybe take an edge rusher or one of those old linemen in there. I think 22 and one of those 2nd round picks for a future round pick will get it done. You think they'd have to offer? How about this, Prince? You know that Reddick pick? Would you throw the Reddick pick in there? Now you're gambling because if the Jets suck, which is a good chance, that could be a high-quality 2nd round pick, like near a 1st. Like if the Jets blow in 25 and in the 26th draft, say the Jets are like a 5-win team and they're in the top 5. You know what that means? That's the 5th pick in the 2nd round. You're right there on the 2nd round of the 1st round. I don't know. I mean, right? You're counting on the Jets to get better. Well, if they don't, and they're bad, that pick in 26 or whatever it is, 27, that could be if the Jets have the worst record in the NFL, which they have not played well the last decade, 2 decades, and say they're the second or third worst team, you're talking about the 34th pick in the draft. I mean, that's like a first rounder. I'm like, I don't know. That's a pretty big quality pick, plus the 22 and the 53rd. I don't know. That's a lot to give up for that. But Surtain is, I guarantee you, it's not going to be cheap. The Broncos need a quarterback. What's the point of Howie draft proofing free agency if we're going for need? Take the best player available at 22. The best player available at 22 doesn't help your defense immediately. So get this, and to your point, it's not bad thinking, a bit of life. But here, just in my last mock draft, Eagles take 22. They draft the second best corner. When you could have made a deal to try to get the best corner in the NFL. In your scenario, you're drafting the second best corner, Teron Arnold, in the draft, according to draft experts. Kid Mitchell's number 1. So you take the best player available at 22 and a need, or you're going to go O-line, address the offense and not address the defense. How much more are you going to address the offense and not address the defense? I'm not saying an O-lineman's not wrong because he's probably the best player you could take down there. But drafting the second best corner when I could go try to trade for the best corner. Hey, and here you've already made a call in this past November for him. The Broncos know you have interest along with the 49ers. I'm sure there's a ton of teams. You don't think that is one? Get this. Why in the world would the Broncos think of Xander? Think of this. Everyone, why would the Broncos not wait to May 1st or 2nd or even next week, a week after the draft, to pick up that 5th-year option? Why do it the week of the draft? They're telegraphing he's available. You know how enticing that is now? Patrick Surtain is in play. The Broncos told you that today. You could have waited. How do you know you're not going to give him a new contract extension? They could have given him a contract extension. That's exactly right, Yale. The Broncos drove the price up today. You want him? You better come calling for him, and you better have a bag of vittles. Because if you don't, you're not going to be welcome into the conversation. Do you understand what's happened here? The Denver Broncos have told you that Patrick Surtain is in play by picking up his 5th-year option 3 days out from the draft. And now you get 2 years of still a rookie deal because of the option that's been picked up. You're paying 8 for the best corner in the league when you're paying right now 12 and 13 for Bradbury and Slay. By the way, I bring in Surtain. Bradbury's out of the starting lineup, and if he can't play slot, hey, that's a tough hit on the cap too. But I may need that roster spot. I may move him if I can. If not, I may cut him. The Broncos waved and sent out smoke signals about an hour ago. Am I right? You could have waited till next Tuesday to pick his option up. But you didn't. You did it 3 days from the draft. I get him on rookie deal, 2 more years. What do they want? They're going to want a 1. Give him a 1 and a 2. 22nd and the 53rd. You might even be able to stay at 22 and give them the 53rd and go, and then they take the 22 and the 12 and move up to 3. They could do that. They could make the same play that Minnesota did by getting 2 1s and moving up. I think Minnesota's moving up to the Charger pick. I think they're going to move up to get J.J. McCarthy at 5. I think they're going to move. Rodgers would be in the slot, though. Joe, you don't know how good that guy is. You're assuming. Don't put faith in things yet you haven't seen. I've seen Surtain play. I know who he is. I know what the player is. One thing I'll give Howie, he does a hell of a job at pro personnel. I'm just not a fan of him, college personnel. It's just not a fan of it. Especially, and I showed you the last 2 years. I'm just not a fan of it. Just a thought, Marvin Harrison Jr. hasn't played in the NFL yet. Brown's the top 3 wide receiver. Think about what you said. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I don't hate moving for Surtain. Anyone else, I'm probably going to be mad. Yeah, no, I'm not making a trade for somebody in the league right now. My need's at corner. That guy wants corners and linebackers. That's why I say you get Surtain, a linebacker, and here, this is what I would do in this draft if I were Howie. And how I would make my defense better. This has got to be a defensive-centric draft here. I would take that 22, 53rd, maybe move up to 16, send the 16th pick to the Denver Broncos for Patrick Surtain and your 53rd pick. At the end of the day, you get Surtain, you keep the 50th pick, you get a linebacker there, Percy Wilson or whomever. Then in the second, and then in the 4th round, you take 2 of those 5s, move into the 3rd round, and you pick up an edge rusher or an offensive tackle. Things littered with OTs, man. You could probably go 3 deep, and I'm talking 3 rounds deep, and find yourself a good old lineman in this draft. I don't really think there's like 20 good edge rushers. I think there's probably around 6. I'm not taking the 12th best edge rusher in the draft when I could get an offensive lineman that's probably one of the top 25 players in the draft. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. How do you think, Sills, do you think that the price could get as high as 2 first-rounders? Yeah, because of what Hutch, because of what they did today. You guys, I hope you understand that what the Denver Broncos did was without, now it's starting to get real. The Broncos could have waited or extended them. What'd they do? They picked up the I'll tell you this, if you're Patrick Surtain and you've had 2 all-pro years, are you happy? Are you happy? Has Devontae Smith been a Pro Bowler yet? And they gave him $25 million a year. And he's the number 2 guy on an offense. If you're Patrick Surtain and you're like, wait a minute, I'm all pro at corner. I'm the best player in my position in the league. And they picked up my option? What a slap in the face. That deal makes sense because Slay and Bradbury come off the cap next season. And our defense gets younger and no big contracts due. Only Surtain. Correct. There you go, Prince. Check it out. Contracts come off. He goes up to 14.5. Third year, you give him his $19 million. All pro corner at 25. What's the debate? I think they're setting this. Again, this is all going to be on Denver, though, loving a quarterback in this draft. So you have to be prepared to, I mean, is it Mitchell or Surtain? It's probably right there. Okay, if Denver doesn't budge, it's Mitchell at 16. I don't know, man. Mitchell could go anywhere between 13 and 17. He could go down there. What I don't want you to do is take Teron Arnold, who's the second best corner. Now, the second best running back in the draft, that guy Gibbs, turned out to be a pretty good back next to Bijan Robinson, did he not? Because he fit in that Detroit offense real well, right? So you're like, hey, Sills, that Gibbs kid was good from Bama. He's better than I thought he was. And he fit into that system really well. So taking the second best position player at that position, I thought was a gamble for Detroit. They gambled right. I think they even gambled right on that kid Campbell that they got at the linebacker spot. Right? Howie is excellent at this stuff. You got to think like him. He doesn't want to draft a corner, I don't think. Why? Didn't he say that at his press conference? We have gained success. Am I right when I say this? Unconventionally, which means he made deals in the secondary. Well, okay. Well, here's one. Denver has clearly sent smoke signals that, hey, don't be shocked if the 49ers land on him because they want him too. 49ers and the Eagles were two teams that called prior to the trading deadline. M. Johnson goes, I'm available for the league minimum. Hey, M. Johnson, I'm available for the practice squad roster. How you doing? Right? So if you want one of those boss LBs, going to have to trade up. No, I think you've got 2 2s, man. You got a 53 and a 50. I'm not giving both of them. I need one of those for a backer. I'm even cool with the kid from Carolina or Kentucky. Or the kid Colson from Michigan. I'm all right with, he's not bad also. Played very good for that Michigan team. Do not be shocked. And remember something. John Lynch has an exceptional relationship with the Denver Broncos. He played there. They love him in Denver. So it would not shock. Surtain could land in Philly or San Francisco. Let me take a timeout. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and certainly the easiest when you're watching the NBA. And the NBA playoffs are almost here, and you can win money making picks. What are you waiting for? Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com and use the promo code WIN. An Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN. Get ready for the NBA and get ready for the NBA playoffs. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Philadelphia fans. We're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Mike Little was a union construction worker who was badly injured when he suffered a horrific fall because of someone's negligence. His life would change forever.
It was just a real downward spiral with everything you do, and you're sitting home by yourself all day. You can't go out because you can't drive, you can't walk well. It was just a horrible situation.
Call Brian Fritz at the Fritz & Beyond Cooley Law Firm at 215-548-2222.
EAGLES, Eagles.
See, think about this here. New England's going to have to deal with Denver. If they get the Eagles' 53rd and 22nd pick, okay? I don't think that's enough to get Patrick Surtain. They would have to go 22, move up to 16. Okay? They'd have to move up. And do you give a contingency pick next year? And then maybe that Reddick pick out for a team like to Jacksonville, who's at 16. I think 16 and 53 could get Surtain in your building. They take the 16th pick and their 12th pick, send it to 3 for Denver, and take Drake May. Broncos get their player. Eagles get their player. Keep their second rounder, draft a linebacker. And New England gets a bounty of picks that they need to fix on offense. See, I don't think New England is sold on any of the quarterbacks. But this is all going to come down to Sean Payton, whether or not he is in love with any of those guys. Look, Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams are going 1 and 2. New England is sitting. I think the draft starts at 3. I think it starts at 3. Okay? And by the way, somebody do me a favor. If anybody knows that guy, Joey Bag of Dicks, do me a favor. Tell him to stop going on my Twitter page. Better yet, I might just have to block the guy or mute the guy. Who is the guy? I mean, I didn't know everybody had these fantasies about Big Sills and stalking me like this. Between him and LJ, man. Makes me feel a little uncomfortable sometimes. I got AJ and Joey Bag of Dicks following me. Come on, man. This is very uncool here. I got into this, to have fun, not to have stalkers here. All right. Closer and closer to the. Oh, by the way, don't forget, we are doing a 10 a.m. special show on Friday because my daughter's graduating and I got to take off for Grand Canyon. So I want you guys to know we're doing a special show. Okay. So it'll be 10 a.m. So we'll be able to have at least an hour of a response of the draft that happened on Thursday night. So just to let you know. All right. Tomorrow, 2 to 6, Joe, Xander, thank you very much. We'll catch you on the flip side.